Live streams up, you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the November 10th, 2025 meeting of the Preston County Board of Education. It is now 9:09, and this meeting is called to order. We will have our traditional moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance at the 10 o'clock hour. The first item on our agenda is an expulsion diversion plan for a student. May I please get a motion to enter executive session for an expulsion hearing?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
moved by Mr. Kisner, second by Mrs. Noss. Is there any discussion on the motion for an executive session? Not hearing any. This will be a voice vote, starting with Mrs. Noss.
Yes.
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 Motion passes 4-0 at 9:10 a.m.
Are we going to let them,
So the live stream is now on, everyone.
Mr. Martin, are we going to let the school representatives know?
Okay. Can I please get a motion to return to open session?
So
Mr. Hovatter, I need a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to return to open session made by Mr. Hovatter and seconded by Mr. Kisner. Is there any discussion regarding the motion? Not hearing any. This will be a voice vote, starting with Mr. Hovatter.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 at 9:48.
Okay, may I have a motion to accept the administration's disciplinary recommendation for student A?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kisner.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Noss. Is there any discussion regarding the superintendent's recommendation for disciplinary action for student A? Not hearing any. I call the vote. This will be an electronic vote with the results posted on the screen.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay. I move that we recess until the 10 o'clock hour.
Second.
Okay, motion made by myself and seconded by Mr. Kisner. Is there any discussion regarding the motion to recess? Not hearing any. This will be a voice vote, starting with Mrs. Noss.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 at 9:49.
Okay, we're now in recess.
Okay.
Can you
I'll
pause?
let them know.
Can you pause the?
Oh, I have the computer with the thing you wanted to do, so. I forgot about that. Or, well, should we do the regular life forensic? Like, we did talk about it, but I knew it was coming. I have it.
Moment of silence, and then Mr. Kisner will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
If you'll please stand. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our first item of business is approval of student board members. This is a discussion, information, and action item. We have a recommendation from the superintendent. It's recommended that the board approve the Preston High School students Hunter Harrison and Bailey Turner as student board members for the 2025-26 academic year. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kisner.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hovatter. Okay. We will now have information from Mr. Martin.
Mr. Tatham, I just would want to add that the school, we received a total of 6 applications for student board member status for the 25-26 academic year. Mr. Seymour and a committee from Preston High School reviewed those applications and came with a recommendation by midweek. Mr. Seymour, with you being in attendance, is there anything you'd want to speak to that process? I know we had a great list of applicants, and I'm sure it was a very difficult decision. Anything else you would want to add, sir?
Yeah, I mean, all the students were good applicants. We just ended up with these 2 by various measures we used, so.
Well, I think the committee made a very good choice.
Is there any discussion from board members regarding the motion? Not hearing any. The motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote. Okay, this will be electronic vote with the results on the screen.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0. Mr. Tatham, if you don't mind, would we now be able to place the students
Yes.
onto up here at the board?
Let's take a moment first and we'll shake hands with the board
Absolutely.
members and seat them.
Okay.
So Ms. Turner, Mr. Harrison, I would like to welcome both of you to the board. We, as a board, appreciate the value that our student board members provide. We encourage you that during the discussion portion that you add insight that you have as a student to help the board, because you're our eyes and ears. I know for me personally, I found over the years that the student board members add a lot to our process, and we appreciate, this is a big commitment on your part, and we appreciate that. Okay, next, Mr. Martin, we have recognitions.
Yes, Mr. Tatham, we have lots and lots of recognitions today, which is always a good thing. I would ask if Athletic Director Jamie Bishop, if she's in attendance somewhere, I think. Is Miss Bishop back there? Mrs. Bishop, if you could please come forward. We're going to have a mixture today, board members. We have both a blend of athletic and academic. Our first athletic recognition actually it takes place from golf season this year. And Ms. Bishop, I don't know if you want, I know the one young man is not here today, but if you'd want to speak to anything in regards to our recognition for our golf team member.
So we had one of our golfers go to state. We had 2 that were part of our first team all-conference. One that is not here today is Robbie Lowe. He was our golfer that went to states this year. First team all-conference that should be here is Carson Brown. Is he out there?
Ms. Bishop, here's a mic.
Yep. Okay, I thought so.
Carson's going to be recognized later today. That's why he's all dressed up. He looks great. And our other golfer was Robbie Lowe, who, of course, qualified for the States. Robbie was unable to be here today. But if we could please give Carson a big round of applause for his all Big Ten performance this year. Let's give Carson a round of applause. Just stay close, Mrs. Bishop. We'll have you very busy today, I'm sure. Okay, our next group for recognition will be PHS agriculture students and staff. I believe Mrs. Funk and Robert Varner are in attendance today, and I would ask if Mrs. Funk and Mr. Varner could please come forward, and we're going to recognize a number of accomplishments of our ag students this year. We've had events from this past summer, this fall, and the kids have been highly involved, and certainly we'll ask if Mrs. Funk and if you and Mr. Varner could just please recognize any of the students today that you'd like.
Sure. We're going to start with things that we did over the summer. The first major highlight is we had several students receive their state FFA degree. We had 9 from our chapter. So the state FFA degree is the highest award you can get in West Virginia FFA. For students to get that, they have to earn and invest at least $1,500 into their projects, complete at least 25 community service hours, and at least 5 activities above the chapter level. So we had 9 students. We had a few of our 24 and 25 graduates get this as well. Caitlin Johnson, Aries Jennings, Raven Motes, Brooke Snyder, and Hannah Wolf. So had some current seniors receive that, so when I call your name, come forward. Vera Strasser, Isabel Hunt, Ella Johnson, and Ben Price. Also at our state convention, we had a student compete in the state tractor driving contest. Carter Miller competed in the state zero-turn mower contest and placed 7th in the state. So Carter, come on up. So also at state convention, we had 2 members be a part of the state FFA band. So they got to be part of the band for all the sessions and flag raisings and lowerings every day, and that was Lexa Galloway and Stella Taylor.
Keep shifting.
All right, so that was our summer stuff. Moving on, more recently in October, our school hosted the regional tractor driving contest. So that was schools, Preston, University, Marion County Tech Center, Philip Barber, and Grafton High School. So for tractor driving, there's large tractor driving and zero-turn mower driving. The top 3 from each of those divisions advanced to state. So we actually have 4 students who will be going to the state tractor driving contest this summer. Stephen Hauser is going to compete in large tractor driving. He couldn't be here today. But we also have Carter Miller, who placed 1st, Elijah Wolf, who placed 2nd, and Payson Varner, who placed 3rd. And the most recent thing that we got to do last week in October, we traveled to Indianapolis for the National FFA Convention. So while we were there, we were able to do a lot of things like there's a college and career expo, sessions, workshops, there's an FFA store. We toured Corteva Agri-Science, the Dickinson Cattle Ranch, and we also participated in the National Day of Service. So there are also some fun activities that we did. I don't need this. I'll just pull out. So we also did the National Day of Service. We also got to do some fun things like go to Topgolf. We went to a Noah Langley concert, a rodeo, and a go-kart race. So that was pretty fun for them. And one of the big things that we also did, we got to cheer on some of our members who have received the American FFA degree. So FFA membership does not end whenever you graduate high school. You can be an FFA member for 3 years after you get out of high school. So the American FFA degree is the highest award you can receive as an FFA member, and only 1% of members ever achieve that. So there's over 1 million members nationwide. So we had 6 from our chapter. They got their American degree, which is more than I think we've ever had at one time. So these numbers, you have to be a year outside of high school to apply. You have to have earned and invested $10,000 into your project, 50 community service hours, and all the other requirements for the other degrees prior to that. So we had 6. They were Addison Bolliard, Madison Bolliard, Isabel Hauser, Katrina Harsh, Marley Phillips, and Carson Step. So they are obviously working or in school today, so weren't able to be here, but I think that's a pretty good accomplishment. And our other students that were able to go to convention with us were Vera Strasser, Carter Miller, Lexi Galloway, Brooklyn Castiles, Cora Fike, Brody McCleary, Isabel Hunt, Leighton Bierman, Ella Johnson, McKinley Kidwell, Stella Taylor, Jason Garner, Bryson Brown, Ben Price, and Ashton Park. And that's all for today.
Okay, everyone, remember we get 2 lines shorter in front, or in the back. Try to center up around the front. Everyone try to find a window. If you can't see me, I cannot see you. We have advisors as well, please. Let's see. All right, now you step out, hold in. There you go. There we go. I think that's everybody. Okay, can you 2 step over here? Then went to the front of the board. All right, Mr. Thank you all.
If we can give our students and staff members a big round of
Thank you, Ms. Funk. Again, 6 American recipients is no small feat for our ag leadership. Thank you very much.
Mr. Tatham, before we have the agriculture students leave, I would ask if Mr. Varner would just briefly, if he'd be willing to address the board. Last week, we had a large contingent from the West Virginia Farm to School Conference at Morgantown that traveled up here to observe, I think, aspects of our agriculture program. Specific, I think they spent quite a bit of time in animal processing. So, Mr. Varner, I don't know if you'd be able to speak briefly to that, just to update the board as to that process.
That all came back, Justin, he went to the conference and he told that we harvest and process the sausage for the school lunches, for sausage, baby biscuits. He thought it was a neat idea, so he came up for the slaughterhouse there in June. Then he had a conference and he asked if I'd be willing to people come see the slaughterhouse. So he came up for the slaughterhouse and the store and the farm, see how we process the sausage and everything for the school lunches and everything. There was 20 people throughout the state, WVU, State Department of Ed, and the Department of Agriculture and other county schools and stuff came to visit the slaughterhouse. So we toured the slaughterhouse, the school store, the barn. I took them on a hay ride. Then he came here for sausage, gravy, and biscuits. Finished up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Varner. It's a great showcase for the school and for the program, but thank you for your efforts, and thank you, Mr. Hope. Ready? Okay, our next recognition is the PHS Boys and Girls Cross Country Team. Again, we have Athletic Director Bishop. I'm sure Coach Paul Martin might have a few things to say as well. I can't imagine he would want to. And Assistant Coach Paul Sines is here today. Unfortunately, Assistant Coach Heather Parks was not able to be here today. She's got teaching commitments at Brewston right now. So I'll turn it over to Mrs. Bishop and Coaches Martin and Sines.
I'm just going to lead in by saying we held the regional cross-country tournament here for AAA Region 1, AAA Region 2, and Quad A North Region, and it was an extremely successful event that we had here. I believe all teams that were involved were very pleased with not just their team performances, but the way that the day ran. It ran very smoothly, it ran very timely, and their athletes, I do believe, all performed very well and enjoyed the things that were provided for them as far as awards and recognition. So with that being said, our athletes performed very well there also and qualified for the state. We had our girls team qualify and we had a few of our boys qualify as well. So I'm going to let Mr. Martin share that information with you.
Apparently I have to be brief, so. Remember, it's genetic.
I understand.
Our team goals are the same every year, and that's to win a Big Ten championship, qualify for states, and to try to finish in the top 5 at states. And on the girls' side, we came up a little short. At the Big Ten championships, we finished second. From a team qualification standpoint, for the girls, we did very easily. And for the first time in a few years, we had some representation from the boys. We actually had 2 freshmen and a sophomore individually qualify for state. So what I'm going to do at this time is just call them up here. We'll start with our freshmen and work our way up to our seniors. So Eileen Parks, Miranda Poe, Wyatt Foley, Braden Armstrong, Huxley Rumor, Zoe Boardman, and Huxley and Zoe are sophomores, the first 4 are freshmen. Our lone junior is Ava Simmons. And I specifically want to talk about our 3 seniors, and I'm going to call them all at the same time. Delilah Myers, Autumn Myers, and Hannah Liston. And what I would specifically like to talk about these 3 young ladies as freshmen, for the first time, really since 2003, since I've been here, we did not have anybody qualify for states, either individually or from a team standpoint. So it's definitely a low moment for the program. And I think these 3 are very much responsible for our return kind of back to being a state contender every year. So as sophomores, they finished 4th in the state as a team. Last year as juniors, 4th in the state as a team. And this year we were predicted 6th, and we're ranked 6th, and we moved up 1 position and finished 5th. So again, they've been kind of the heart of the program from a performance standpoint. We do have a lot of youth coming back, and we'll just reload again for next year. That's all I have, Mr. Martin.
Okay. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Perfect. Wood can get you to shift that way.
Thank you.
Give them a team again a big round of applause. Okay, our next recognition is also from Preston High School. I would ask if Principal Todd Seymour and it looks like guidance staff, it looks like Mrs. Lane and Mrs. Piles are back there, if they could all please come forward. And we are recognizing the guidance staff, Principal Seymour and Preston High School for their recognition as a College for West Virginia Champion of College Access and Success. The school received the award on October 21st in Charleston, and I believe there's a banner that's prominently displayed in the concourse area. There are 3 criteria in order for the school to be recognized for this honor. They must register and participate in the College Application and Exploration Week. They must also complete the College Application and Exploration Post-Event Survey. They must meet the statewide FAFSA completion goal of 60% or increase the previous year's completion rate by 5%. This year, Preston grew by 9% compared to the previous year. Finally, they must register and participate in College Decision Day and complete the post-event survey. PHS has actually earned this distinction 2 out of the past 3 years. And board members, I'm sure many of you have attended the events that the guidance staff helps to coordinate in the spring as it relates to students in both CT endeavors and in college-going endeavors, and also the military. So we certainly try to recognize all of our students and all of their post-secondary activities. So we certainly appreciate the efforts of our guidance staff and Principal Seymour. I would just ask if we could please give them a round of applause. Guys, would you like to say anything in regards to the honor?
They do all the work.
So Mr. Seymour is just soaking up, riding the coattails there. All right.
Stay right there.
Hey, let's give these guys a good round of applause.
You got two more opportunities, so don't forget.
Okay, our next recognition. I actually had an opportunity to attend this ball game. It was absolutely an incredible game. It was competed back on October 31st. Preston High School played Buchanan Upshur High School, and we actually saw two state record-breaking performances by PHS athletes. But Mrs. Bishop, I'll turn it over to you, but I just want to say, you know, I've had the pleasure of watching both these young men over the last 4 years, and you know, are friends with my son, and just proud as can be of both of them. It was an amazing performance, and they've had a great career here at PHS, and certainly are due. Well, certainly do any recognitions that they're owed. I would say that both Slayton, those who will be recognized today are Mr. Slayton Manco. If Slayton would please come forward. And our second student athlete is Mr. Aiden Schmidl. Just to give the rundown, I could have done a career totals on Slayton, but I'm focused on this game. It was an amazing night for sure. Slayton actually set a state record for total completions in a game with 43 completions out of, I think it was approximately 56 passes on the night, so a high passing percentage too. Slayton threw for over 600 yards. I want to make sure I get this right. 6 touchdowns, and also accounted for approximately 90 yards on the ground, 2 additional touchdowns. So that's a career for many athletes. Slayton was able to accomplish this in one singular night. Aiden also had a historic night, had 21 receptions, which is also a state record, for 421 yards. So just an incredible performance by these young men, and certainly brought great pride to the program. I know it's been a frustrating season in terms of wins and losses, but these young men have had just amazing performances throughout the year, and we should certainly be very proud of their accomplishments. So, congratulations, boys. Okay, we can give these boys a deep round of applause. And we still have more recognitions. All right. Mr. Hogue, you've got enough content for like a month and a half here. I'll tell you, lots of recognitions, which is wonderful. Our next recognition are actually participating students in the Skills USA Fall Skills Leadership Conference, which was held at Cedars Lakes. This was a 2-day event that allowed for participants to earn and be awarded Statesmanship Award. The conference was an opportunity to gain leadership skills that will allow the participants to lead their chapters through the program of work over the academic year. We had a number of students participate. And first of all, I'd like for the sponsors to come forward. I believe Mr. Ed Holleran's back and back. Mr. Justice, is there anyone else present? Mr. Ryan Justice, of course, CT, principal. Is there any other teachers present, Mr. Justice? Yes, sir. Okay. And then, guys, if you want to, I'll turn it over to you to recognize the students. Eddie or whomever would like to.
So I'm just going to start with the.
Just grab one of them. Mrs. Varner, you want to grab one of the other mics there?
Oh, nice. So I'll just start with a quick overview of what Skills USA is. We got started 3 years ago. This will be our third school year, actually. And I think that first year we only had 3 students. Was that? I think it was 3 students our first year. And then we've really grown now to where what we have today is just our 6 officers that are with us. We are short 2 officers today. I don't know how many do we have now total taking part in skills?
I don't have a total in skills.
What did we have last year? I think we were upwards of 14 or 15 last year. So looking to keep growing. But we've got the kids here with us, so I won't wait long here. The Skills USA Statesman Award recognizes members who demonstrate advanced knowledge of Skills USA and civic awareness through a set of requirements which can include passing an exam, giving a presentation, and attending leadership events. It is the highest honor a member can achieve at the state level, and a national version is also available. Winning the award involves mastering Skills USA knowledge, articulating career and technical education experiences, and showing strong leadership skills. You want to call him out? Go ahead. Our first student we'd like to recognize today is Jaden Pfeiffer. Brody McCleary. Dakota Nelder. Julian Schaefer. Carson Rousey, and Evan Livengood.
If you can give these ladies and gentlemen a big round of applause. In our final recognition today, I'll again turn it over to Mrs. Bishop. And we do have some fall sports that are not recognized today because we are still waiting on Big Ten accolades and I know there are some soccer players, there's some unofficial all-state accolades that we can't publicly announce yet, but we'll certainly try to follow up at a future meeting for those recognitions as well. Ms. Bishop, I'll turn it over to you. I believe we had 2 all-conference soccer players that we're going to recognize today.
We did. We had 1 all-conference boy and 1 all-conference girl. All-conference boy, Skylar Wilson. And all-conference girl, Ava Turner.
I was going to say, I got the opportunity to watch Skylar compete all year. Just a tremendous athlete. Played his heart out every night, and just certainly will be missed as he moves on to hopefully play collegiately next year. So let's give them again a big round of applause. Okay, can we give these guys a big round of applause? Mrs. Bishop, I didn't miss anybody, right? Mr. Tatham, that is all the recognitions we have at this time, but I love it when we have 30 minutes of recognitions. That's what we want.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Thank you to all the students that have represented Preston County Schools. Thank you to the faculty and staff and the community and parents that have supported them. Okay. Next, we have delegations. I had 2 individuals that signed up for delegations. The first is Danny Kelly. Ms. Kelly, you have 5 minutes to speak, but before we can you tell me the purpose of your request?
I need to speak in front of a student.
Okay, so we have a request from an employee to speak about a student. May I get a motion for executive session?
Mr. Tatham, before you proceed, Mrs. Kelly, we have another individual signed up. Would you both,
I think that's John.
I would say, would Mr. Lockery also like to join us in executive?
Not.
Okay,
Ms. Zoftek can stand in for him.
okay.
So moved.
Okay, so we have Mr. Kisner making the motion for executive session, Mrs. Noss providing a second. Is there any discussion regarding the motion for executive session? Okay, so we have a motion for executive session for the purpose of discussion information regarding a student? Okay. Ms. Noss, will reaffirm your second?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any discussion regarding the motion on the floor? Not hearing any, this will be a voice vote, starting with Mr. Hovatter.
Yes.
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 Motion passes 4-0 at 10:35 a.m.
Okay, can we please pause the live stream, Ms. Farner? Okay, folks, we'll be back as soon
grant that we've been working on for a couple of years. The ARC grant, the Preston County EDA was in on the ground floor of. We were one of the entities that helped write the original grant. And the reason that we proceeded with the grant was because we thought that we really needed to work more on the connections between education and businesses to make sure that we can keep our students in Preston County and in West Virginia so that they don't have to leave our area to find jobs. And how the Economic Development Authority is involved is we're kind of the conduit between education and business because we are in the businesses all the time. We have students in education. We're involved in education. I'm not sure what's going on with this. So anyhow, we thought that it was important that we be involved with this program. One of the things that I've seen, and I can say this because I've got family members in education, is that sometimes educators don't know what businesses are available in their own county, and there are opportunities in those businesses. So our feasibility grant grew into an implementation grant, and so now we're taking action on some of the things that we developed during the first step of the grant. And we have a lot of programs available for students and for educators through the grant that we have. So I am not the authority on where we're at now in the programming we're doing. So that's why I have Lloyd and Maggie with me today. They're the people that we've hired through the grant to make sure we implement everything that we said we were going to do. So I'm going to turn it over to them to talk to you about what we are doing with this grant and what's available to the Preston County education students and faculty.
And Robbie, real quick, can you say what ARC stands for?
The Appalachian Regional Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Okay, as Robbie mentioned, I'm Lloyd Ford. I am the Work-Based Learning Coordinator at Fairmont State University. I am one of the hires for the ARC Power Grant that's split between Fairmont and Glenville. And my particular role is with the experiential learning, so work-based learning. So that can be job shadows, it can be site visits or plant tours, it can be micro-internships, would be like, say, 1 week internships during the holiday break, or it can be even summer internships or even co-ops. So, and I'm working at the university level, but we're not focused just on the university. We also want to reach out to K-12, particularly those in, sophomore, junior, senior. I think you have to be around 16 before you can do different types of experiential learning. So we'd primarily be targeting juniors and seniors at the K-12 level, but it can also go as far down as middle school through things like Project Lead the Way. We have some money in the grant to help schools start a Project Lead the Way. So right now we're focused on high school, but that can also go down into the middle school level as well. So Project Lead the Way, Maggie's probably a little bit more versed in it than I am, but the 30,000-foot version of it. Project Lead the Way is a program that allows educators in high school and middle school to introduce various STEM concepts, particularly in engineering, a little bit of computer science as well, depending on which modules you engage in. And there are various modules you can engage in, and whenever you teach those courses, depending on the university, they can actually bring it in as college credit. For example, before I worked at Fairmont, I worked in Morgantown at WVU, and for a while, I'm not sure if they still do it because it's been a few years, they would accept the full suite of the engineering modules as their Engineering 101 credit. So it's a way to get a little bit of a head start. Some of the other things we have what we call work-based learning coordinator roles for educators in K-12. Those would be people that would help me and Maggie. We have 2 other grant members. We have one that we're doing a search for, and we have career coordinator at Glenville, Logan Harrison. So we would do things like ride-alongs to various companies and industries in the area through the EDAs like Robbie's, like ones in, say, Barber or Gilmer County, et cetera. And we want to bring some of them along to start conversations about how we can get maybe a field trip out to an industry. Or even another initiative we have, and I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but in my mind it's all connected. We're working with Mountain Craft in Fairmont, and they're doing VR recordings for virtual job shadows. Right now they're working with Omni Associates in Fairmont. The grant has money to help small companies, small businesses in economically distressed areas to make some of those videos to do like a virtual job shadow. So we bought a set of VR headsets that we can take to schools, and then the kids can go and they can go through a virtual tour maybe of a construction site. We don't want to take an 8th grader to a construction site, that's insane. But if they wear the hat and we go through the little video, they can look around and say, oh wow, okay. You know, oh wow, that's really tall, you know, things like that. So it's meant to spark the imagination and to get folks interested in opportunities available. And it's also, a lot of people just don't know that there are opportunities available. There's a lot of smaller companies that don't have a big budget to say, we're here, we're hiring. So we want to be able to provide some of the connections with educators and with our EDAs to help spark those conversations.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
So, like Lloyd was saying, when we did this grant, there were certain things that we wanted. We wanted job shadows, which is where the school comes in to provide the students for those job shadows. Micro internships, field trips. These are all things for experiential learning for the students. We're going to branch out into, so I know that the CTE program has a industry advisory board. We're also adding industry advisory boards in the work that we're doing. We're trying to build the connections between us, between K-12, between these businesses, and this is a regional program. So we are, like Lloyd said, Fairmont State, Glenville State. So we are in the area from Preston County down to Glenville State, so Calhoun. Mon County is not involved in this because they are in the WVU footprint, obviously, but we do have a very large swath of counties involved in this. We want to improve career awareness for the students so that they know that there are opportunities even over and above what they have access to in the school. We want job seeker development, so development for these students to be able to come out of whether it's high school or whether they go on to a 2-year or 4-year program, to have some skills already in their pockets, so when they go out for a job interview, they are more prepared. A lot of these internships many times can lead to employment, so that's, like I said, that's another great opportunity for these students. And then the final piece that comes in, once again, for the school system is we want to provide professional development for the educators. So we do have some programs specifically for the teachers. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of what we have available for teachers, we're not asking you to give your time without compensation. I think we're willing to compensate for time that the teachers put into these programs. So Lloyd has some handouts which we can get to you that have general program information on our Project Lead the Way scholarship program, information on the internship programs that are available for mostly juniors and seniors at this point. Correct. Yeah. Applications for faculty, and then we also have opening up very soon a mini grant proposal, and this is a curriculum mini grant that is $500 to $2,000. And that's for curriculum development. It's like a one-time, if you have a new program you want to teach, apply to us for this money, and we can help maybe put a new program in place for your class. So, anything you have wrapping up?
Yeah, what I spaced out on, you covered quite well, yes.
So do you have any questions? Because it's a lot, and I know it's a lot.
Ms. Bailey, the counties in which you're working, I'm assuming, have you got an established MOU with those counties?
So, with entities within the counties, yes. So we have, for example, we have letters of commitment in the grant from, for example, Braxton County School System, through the Preston EDA, through the Barber County EDA, through Upshur County EDA. We have, I'm trying to think of some of the schools while I'm at it too.
Calhoun's very interesting.
Yeah, the Gilmer Calhoun Technical, the career center they have there, they're partnering in the plan as well. And even schools that we don't have formal MOUs with or letters of support for the grant, because with ARC, there's an amount of it that's in kind or cost sharing. So basically what they're saying is that they're providing a certain amount of their time at a particular rate in order to offset some of the costs of the grant as well. Both Glenville State and Fairmont State are providing in kind as well for cost sharing.
I mean, with Project Lead the Way curriculum, I mean, we would, I don't want to speak our curriculum directors, I don't have, all the administrators here, but I mean, I know that at times we have lost students to other counties related to the lack of that program. I mean, it's, from what I understand, it's primarily like a pre-engineering type program. So certainly, particularly at the high school level, that would be something that I feel like that we would certainly have interest in any technical expertise in getting a program off the ground. We would be definitely interested.
Yeah, and I think the way we've got it structured in the grant, and once again, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we would pay for the first year.
Yes, it would be like we're trying to kickstart you.
With Project Lead the Way this program is set up through the grant, they're going to fully fund 5 schools through the grant, and that's a substantial financial contribution.
Absolutely, yeah, that's huge.
They are going to ask for a letter of support or a letter of acknowledgement from the principal of the school to say, yes, we understand that this is being funded, and that they are supporting the teacher in the funding. The training is going to be paid for by the ARC grant. That will be in the summer, I think, is the plan. So they plan to work on a 3-year plan with the school, with the shared responsibility for the purchase of the Project Lead the Way program after the first year. They also want to work with the school administration to find the funding, to teach about writing the grants to cover that funding so that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, certainly, it feels like that would be where we just need some guidance in assessing the program. I mean, I know we've had discussions before about Project Lead the Way specifically, so.
Very expensive to get it started.
Yes.
We want to try to help get it started.
Sounds great, exciting.
I'm going to jump in real quick and just give the board members some background information. I'm a member of the Economic Development Authority. I represent the municipality of Reedsville. I also serve as vice president of the EDA, and I'm the board's representative to the EDA. At the October meeting, Robbie expressed that she was having some challenges getting in contact with the school to get this started. So I sent an email between myself, Robbie, and Superintendent Martin suggesting that Robbie present. And I will serve as a facilitator between the school. If the 3 of us can kind of email a little bit, and then as I've already asked Robbie, that we consistently have updates to the board for this. But I think if the EDA can provide very specific actions that you need from the school system, steps that we need to take, and likewise for Mr. Martin to give very specific actions that you need, so that this is a lot of information and a lot of opportunities in addition to a lot of things that Mr. Martin already has going on with the school system. But if we can try to identify the optimal amount of things that we can accomplish so that we can start getting some success on our part and then give the board updates. Will that work?
Absolutely.
And I think maybe the first step is for us to provide a written list of opportunities to Mr. Martin with kind of here's how you move this opportunity forward. I'm in the county, so anytime you need me, I'm right here. I have access to Lloyd and Maggie. They're also, we put them in this place to provide the expertise that we don't necessarily have. So, and certainly would like to see some measurable outcomes from this. And I think that's one of the things that maybe we can keep track of is, have we placed students in internships? Have we made the connections with the businesses? Have we initiated Project Lead the Way? And I want to preface everything again, once again, this is competitive. So this is something that Preston County is really interested in. This is something we need to probably move forward sooner than later.
Okay, so let's maybe set it where we meet once a quarter, Mr. Martin, here at 10 o'clock roughly. But that meeting's already been scheduled out in the future. I don't know when it is, but when we meet on a Monday morning at the board office, because normally we travel around to the schools in the fall and the winter, and they're nighttime meetings. But at our next daytime meeting, you can come back, and then we can have an assessment of what action we've taken. In the meantime, we can try to facilitate.
That sounds wonderful.
Right. Any discussion or questions from board members?
I understand one of the things you were saying is you have videos made on VR for students to observe.
We are in the process of making.
Okay. So just when I hear that, Mr. Martin, one of the things I wonder about is our 10-week explorations, like at the high school and at the middle school, is that being something that might fit into one of those that would give students an opportunity to see some of these once that's fully implemented? So anyways, that was just listening to them. That was one thought that I had on a takeaway of something that we might be able to implement, but I'll leave the rest of that for future. So.
Yeah, and all those VR videos are going to be shot at local, regional businesses. So these are going to be businesses they see that can provide future opportunities and almost current for seniors.
Okay, any additional comments or questions? Mr. Hobetter, Ms. Noss? Okay. Thank you, Robbie. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
We'll follow up.
Okay, next on our list, we have Sarah Call, Aaron Lipscomb, and Brian Bailey with Mountain Laurel Medical Center for discussion on school-based health centers. Thank you for joining us. Please start by reintroducing yourselves and
I'm Sarah Call. I'm a family physician and the Chief Medical Officer at Mountain Laurel Medical Center. And today I have Brian Bailey, who's our CEO, and Aaron Lipscomb, who is somewhere over here. He's our Care Coordination Manager. So first, briefly, what we are. We're a federally qualified health center. It's as a community health center. We have a network of centers in Maryland and one in Brewston Mills. And the purpose of our community health center, but all community health centers, is to provide high-quality care regardless of the ability to pay. And so, federally qualified health centers do mostly primary care, and our center does primary care and behavioral health and something called advanced primary care, which incorporates care management, clinical care coordinators, technology to help assist, our services. So the federally qualified health centers can be mostly community health centers, but it can also look in other ways. So migrant health centers, homeless health centers, other public housing, primary care centers. And one of the other ways that we can look is a school-based health center. So that's kind of what we want to talk about today and just talk to the board about a possibility of a partnership with your schools. So school-based health centers are health centers that are in or near a school, like on the property or actually located inside. Most of them are run by a health center, like a hospital, a health department, or a lot of them are run by community health centers. So they are, keep going, Aaron. So school-based health centers, like I said, they're on the property or near the property. The purpose of them is to provide access to care for students that might not be accessing it already. It helps with absenteeism because kids can see the clinician during school hours. They won't have to miss a day of school. It kind of breaks down those barriers of transportation. And so, West Virginia has school-based health centers across the state, but there are a few counties that don't have any, and Preston is one of them. And so we just really feel passionate about providing our services to see if that would be something that this school district would like to partner with us with. So common characteristics of school-based health centers, like I said, they're in schools or on school grounds. We work with the schools. We are our own entity, but we work hand in hand with the schools and the school nurses that are already in place, so we aren't replacing school nurses. We provide primary care. We can do preventative care. We can do chronic care management. We have behavioral health services that we currently provide at our centers that we'd also would provide here. Some places do dental health, which would be something that we could discuss too. It's usually a multidisciplinary group, so a clinician, usually a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant, with a nurse or medical assistant and usually some administrative staff. And it can look different in different states, so we want to just partner with the schools to see what needs are there and what facilities are available. But it would typically look like at least a half day twice a week at a school. And we can rotate through schools if we determine different schools that need the services or that are better suited to serve more students. They can serve students, families, and staff if the school district would like to have that service. It does require consent from parents, so there's a pretty specific consent system where at the beginning of the year, there's a consent that can be sent out asking parents if they give permission for their students to be seen there, and certain procedures or certain visits during the year would require additional consent. So there's a pretty good system in place for those across the already established community health centers. And there's usually an advisory board that's comprised of schools, parents, other community members to kind of oversee and direct that. So school-based health centers can provide, like I said, multiple different services depending on the needs of the community and just what we feel is appropriate for that community. So it can be preventative health care, well child checks, immunizations. It can be reproductive health, mental health. We have licensed therapists at all of our offices, so we would definitely be looking to provide primary care and behavioral health at our schools. And then chronic care management, so asthma, big one, things that keep kids out of school, we would like to be able to help. And then, by doing this, like I said earlier, it keeps kids in school, so if they need a doctor's appointment, they can just do that on site and not have to be taken out for a whole day or a half day. Or if the transportation is difficult for families, we can provide it right there for them. So the considerations that we just want to discuss with the school boarders present for the consideration is the first place to start is a needs assessment. So a community needs assessment to see what this community feels is most needed for us to address. And after that is completed, also looking at the demographics of the area and determining a location, what resources are already in place, what would need to happen to get a school-based health center up and running. Days of operation, is it year-round, is it school year? They look all different in different school systems in different states, so that's just a discussion that we can have. And then bricks and mortar versus mobile. Some places have mobile clinics, some places are actually built within the school, or they have a facility built, like there may be a parking lot where there was a space to build a small center right on the school campus. So, we're open to all of those discussions, just excited for the opportunity to talk with you and to present the possibility of doing this. Did I forget anything, Brian?
Yeah, can I just
Yep.
So just further clarification, we're not here to compete with anyone. We are here to complement services to your students and to your faculty and their families potentially. We come here having already spoken to the health department of Preston County and also Preston Memorial to tell them, so they're aware that we're here. Preston Taylor, who is a complement of what we do. They operate largely under the Route 50 corridor. We're here with them also. So the objective here is to look for the opportunity. This is a mission of us to make sure that we extend care to students and make sure that they access care in the best way. But we're not here to compete with the hospital. We're not here to compete with Preston Taylor. We will actually be working with them to make sure that we deliver the best care possible for students. And in a culturally sensitive way and the way that you want us here. If you'd like to see us here 5 days a week and there's a need, that's what we can do. If you want us Monday, Wednesday, if you want us mobile, we are open to the needs assessment that you identify and that we would work with you guys to identify what's the best delivery method there.
Mr. Bailey, would you say that Preston Memorial, Preston Taylor Clinic, and the health department, are they supportive of you being involved in the school system?
Absolutely,
They
yeah.
are.
And the objective would be that they would be at the table with us in the planning of this. So community health centers tend to be a little territorial. So we are in Allegheny and Garrett County in Maryland and Brewston Mills in Preston County. But Preston Taylor is along the 50 corridor, so that's why we would be working with Preston Taylor. If you guys identified a school-based health need in Aurora, most likely that would be Preston Taylor. But you know, we would be looking for our presence potentially in Kingwood or Brewston Mills to complement the services there. So it would be a team-based effort. And Melissa Lockwood, we've talked, and she's passionate about this. She would be working with us also.
Okay. So all actions that the board would take come from a recommendation of the superintendent. So the next part would be for the superintendent.
And I brought them here today. I mean, honestly, Mr.
Okay.
Tatham, we just met
Friday,
which we still have the ability to add to the agenda. And I mean, honestly, you know, Mrs. Varner, myself, Mrs. Miller met with the group. I think it's a very exciting prospect. It's something that again, you know, Preston County is definitely in the minority in terms of having these types of facilities within the county. I think could be potential great benefit to our students, to our staff, to our parents. I think this is a process. You know, when we were discussing prospective timelines, I think this is definitely looking at likely at the 26, 27 academic year.
Correct.
But to obviously put the things in place, the planning, everything now, you know, working towards that end during the current year.
So this is something you would see us moving forward with?
This is something I feel that, you know, I feel would absolutely be beneficial, and you know, I don't see a tremendous amount. I don't see a lot of drawback here. I think this could be a great service, and you know, again, I just wanted the opportunity for the board to kind of hear what we had an opportunity to hear, just to see if there was support to continue, you know, with this planning aspect.
Okay, so how about we go with board members can ask questions, and if you have any reservations right now, this is an opportunity that you can voice them so we can work forward, and then after that, we'll go to student board members to see if they feel that there's a need for this. So board members?
Is this a for-profit venture, I assume?
we are not-for-profit. We are a 501c3 organization, not-for-profit. We are federally licensed through HRSA. So how this works is we don't just set up shop where we want to go. We set up shop where we are asked to go. So if you asked us to set up a school-based health center here, we would do a needs assessment, as Dr. Call mentioned, with the students, with the parents, and then craft what you guys want, and that's how we would deliver it. But then we would have to go to our federal licensing agency, demonstrate the need, because largely we are there for the Medicaid and the uninsured population, but we see commercial payers also. So it really is crafted according to your need, and then we apply to the federal government for a new site designation.
Okay. So you'd operate like any other urgent care in the area, except for you're going to be more accessible on the school grounds, essentially.
Urgent care, primary care, it really depends on the community. You know,
Yeah.
some communities have students that are really engaged with their primary care doctor, and they don't need primary care, they need urgent care. Some communities don't, and so some centers also do a lot of primary care also. So like Brian said, we're not competing. We really just need to fill the void that's there. We've both contacted Preston Taylor, and so they're aware that we're talking. I have friends that work there too, so they're fully aware of this. They have a little bit different territory than we do, so we could work together if you see a need in more their area than ours. But it can be whatever we want to look like, really.
Do you pay the school rent where you're located at, or are you operating at a discounted rate that there's an innate benefit automatically to the populace that you understand what I'm saying? Essentially, you're a nonprofit organization, but you are going to be charging and making a profit. It just doesn't go to an individual, as all nonprofit means to the federal government, right? Like, it means that one individual is not benefiting from the profit. There are people that are employment. So I'm saying, like, in general, do these include you that you're renting a space from the school, or you're just looking for permission to use ground on the school?
Typically, the arrangements we've seen, because we've been meeting with other West Virginia school-based health centers and Maryland, the school typically provides the space, and we provide everything else. We provide the people, we provide the technology, but what we ask typically is space. There are capital dollars available through benefactors and/or the federal government to help with some of those capital if we need to do some renovations, or enhance with equipment, but typically what we ask is space.
Okay, form of a 100-year lease or?
Yeah, there would have to be something trued up only in the event that, from a federal perspective, if things go well, that's terrific. If things don't go well, then the federal government looks for us to protect our interests. In other words, if we put equipment in there, be rest assured the equipment is ours, but any renovations that we do to the space would likely be left to you guys, so we'd have to true all that type of information up.
Okay. You mentioned, the first alarm went off my head when you talked about reproductive care. You did say that the students would, or that there has to be a release from the parents to be allowed to use their services. Do you put in stipulations that require that the services provided are reported back to the parent? So HIPAA generally precludes that, but if you say in order to have our services, we always give a report to this person on file who authorized you to use our services, is that part of your common practice already?
Yes, and there is age-specific requirements between medical disclosure and behavioral health disclosures. So we'd have to be very specific to that, but the release of information to their parents is age-specific and sometimes.
All the same.
Yeah.
The laws. And some schools we talked about, there's no reproductive health taken care of in the school-based health centers. They just ask not for that to be a focus. Other schools, it's a big focus. So again, it's really the community needs of what we think we need here. Nothing is forced upon the community. We just want to be able to, provide care that's needed.
Okay, and then my final thing, my biggest concern as a board member is I don't want students doing anything during school time except for learning to read, write, do math, learn history. So have you guys looked into a model that only provides services after the school day? Because again, I don't think students should be seeing a counselor during the regular hours. I don't think they should be seeing, that's my position.
Sure.
I may be a minority, but I feel like part of the reason why reading is at 35% in our state and probably the rest of our country is because we're spending too much time doing things that the education was not intended to put so many resources to. Mm-hmm. So do you have models that look like that offer between, we have a second set of buses that run after the first set, like during those hours more predominantly? Have you looked at any model of that nature?
I can speak on that. That's not the model of school-based health centers. And really the push is that if a kid's sick or has a therapy appointment, their family will take them out for at least a half day of school. So actually the research has shown that it keeps kids in school more by having it right there, because they're only gone for 30 minutes. And rather than the parents picking them up and maybe missing a whole day for doctor's appointment. So that's the whole purpose of school-based health centers. It's not to be afterwards, because then you have to worry about transportation from families or people that might not be able to get them back there. So that's not the model. That would just be another urgent care, nearby.
Yeah. That would be my biggest reservation. Again, I think that ultimately that's defeating the purpose of the education system, which is to provide education. I hear your. There's a lot of variables there. Yeah.
Like I said, these are not new. They're all over your state. They're all over other states, and there's a lot of evidence showing that it actually gets kids in school more hours by having these on site. But I totally understand your concern. But we can definitely research that.
And Sarah, I would say this too, we could certainly reach out to some other districts who've successfully implemented the model to garner their experiences with it as well.
Yeah, I believe, forgive me, the number of counties in West Virginia is somewhere north of 40?
55 total counties.
I believe that there are 3 or 4 counties that don't have school-based health.
And we're one of them?
Preston is one of them, so.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean it has to be here.
No, it's just good to know.
Yeah, and the school-based health centers are kind of coordinated through the West Virginia Primary Care Association, which is what all the community health centers report up to through West Virginia. So there's about 28 community health center organizations in West Virginia, and the West Virginia Primary Care coordinates the school-based health centers across there.
So let's continue. Let's use this time really quickly just to identify any reservations so that you all can use that. Mr. Hovatter?
I'm good.
All right, Mrs. Noss?
I just have one question. You said you were looking to work in the Kingwood to Brewston area. Preston Taylor would take care of the ones closer to Route 50. So my question would be, where does West Preston and Terrata sit into this?
That would probably just be an agreement between us and Preston Taylor. We don't care.
Preston Taylor has one school-based health center in Grafton right now. I spoke to their medical director and another physician there, and there's no, for what they know, there's no talk of having more right now. But I did let them know that we spoke last week, just to say that we're exploring this, and if they want to partner with us in any way, please let us know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can have that conversation if you feel the needs down there, and we can reach back out and say, who wants to.
Yeah, if they're like, nope, not us, then we're glad to be part of all that, so.
And I know we would always have to do the needs assessment work. One thought in terms of this campus would be just in the fact that we feed from the entirety of the county.
Right.
Some type of available service, whether it's Preston High School, Central Preston, or Kingwood Elementary. Kingwood Elementary, for example, if we weren't, if we were eventually to be able to where we would no longer have academic commitments in the Morgan Street building, we have a building there that might be a possible option. I mean, there's a variety of things we could look at with this, but one thought, just my immediate thought process was on this campus, just in the fact that we have students feeding from every corner.
My thought was just that our area has a lot
True.
of providers close by that they could see. West Preston doesn't have that, Terrata doesn't necessarily have that. I mean, they can go to Oakland. So
Yeah,
he
and
mentioned
I think
Aurora,
that's-
of course, that's one as well in South Preston, which
Sure.
that's around Route 50. So that was my thinking on that.
Well, I will piggyback on that. I mean, with Mrs. Noss's thing, I feel that if we're going to do it for one school, we should do it for all the schools and provide access. And I feel like transporting, say, a student from West Preston Middle School to the high school is kind of defeating the purpose because they're still spending a half day in busing and transportation. So if we're going to have a community-based health center, we need to hit all of our schools. And if that means having a trailer application that we move around and have a schedule, because parents in all areas have the same needs. It doesn't matter where you're geographically located. So
I think it could be a combination of mobile and bricks and mortar, and we can have multiple providers do one, like Monday, Wednesday here, Tuesday, Thursday here, mornings in one facility, afternoons in another, so it can really look like whatever we need it to look like.
Okay.
We can be flexible.
And then the other part would be similar to what Mr. Kisner was saying, is as a parent, I enjoyed the opportunity to attend all of my child's doctor visits, to be present with Bernice Schwarzenberg. That was a way for me as a parent to learn, to become a better parent. I would like for, outside of emergency situations of your kid is sick, the school nurse says you need to immediately see this, that I feel like parents should be invited to all appointments, especially if they're scheduled. Okay, that would be important to me. Okay, and then next I'd like to turn it over to our new student board members. So for board members, this is an opportunity for you that concerns or opportunities come forward where impact our students, where you give not only your personal insight, but also remember you're a representative of all students of what you think that they would need, even if it's not something that you specifically would need.
I think overall, definitely it's a wonderful concept. I really like the personalization that you guys are able to provide, especially because I was a student of Terrata, so I know out there it's a little harder to get to places, but that's saying Oakland probably the closest one other than Kingwood. So I was a little concerned until I learned about money stuff, until I learned about the nonprofit, and then that made me like it a lot more. So I think it's a good idea. I think it'll give a lot of students some resources that they weren't able to get prior. And I do agree that parents should 1,000% be invited, because that's a very important aspect to I know a lot of kids feel like uncomfortable without their parents at a doctor's appointment. Like even I don't love being in a doctor's office without like my mom or my dad. So I think it's a really great program, and I think with some further work on it and getting it personalized to the county, I think it'll be a good thing for us and for the students.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Mrs. Turner?
I think it's a good idea as well, but I definitely think that you would need to mobilize it, because I think it does defeat the purpose of West kids coming to PHS to get care, because that would be West kids just going to Morgantown and then coming back to school. So I think you just need to mobilize it, so just work on that maybe. And then, so it's if the student goes during the school day, is there any payments they have to make for care?
There is payment like any other doctor's appointment.
Okay, so I was just thinking because what if students can afford the care?
And we treat people regardless of their insurance status. So if you can't afford it and it's free, it's free. If you're able to afford what we call sliding scale, where you'll be responsible for a small portion, we will do that also. And if you have insurance, we bill insurance. But we are funded to take care of people regardless of their ability to pay. That is really why we're doing it, to be able to ensure people have access to care when there is none.
And all our clinics are the same way. So we use sliding scale in every office, we take insurance. It's the same system that we have in all of our offices.
So I think with that, and building up what Mrs. Turner is saying, that I feel like there needs to be, and I'm sure you have it, some way that parents have some say so that their child is not obligating them to co-pays and everything else.
Sure.
Okay. I'm just picturing, my children establishing a bill for me.
Dad, we brought a bill home to me. So, yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like there's interest in moving forward. I would encourage Mr. Martin to continue to work with it, and we look forward to it. Anything else?
No, I wanted the board, wanted you all to have an opportunity to hear this out, so.
We appreciate being brought in the beginning.
And Aaron, graduate of here,
Yes.
is the face of this, so we appreciate letting us use Aaron in this capacity also.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, next on our schedule, we have Jana Miller, Special Education and Pre-K Director.
Good morning. I'm Jana Miller, the Special Ed Director, and this is just I don't know if it's our twice-a-year report that we give you. So we currently have 727 students in special education as of our October 1st child count, and this number includes all of our students with disabilities and gifted students. We'll do another child count for the 1st of December, but it doesn't include gifted students in that particular child count. So we have 2 grants that we've received for this coming school year. We received a grant, Guidepost to Graduation, and this grant is used to support and increase our students, special ed students. It's looking at increasing graduation rate and dropout rate. We currently use that grant to pay for the job coach for our PACE program. And then we received a grant for preschool to buy books for our preschool programs for this year. So our preschool numbers, we have listed there. Our current preschool numbers are Aurora, we have 15, South 20, Brewston 52, Kingwood 52, West 39, and Terrata 16. And then our homebound students, we have 10. So, is there any questions?
Any questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Next, we have Angie Zokchek, Attendance and Student Support Service Director.
They have a copy of your packet plus the 4 confidential student accountants.
Okay, good morning. I'm Angie Zofchek, Director of Attendance and Student Support Services. And the first thing I'm going to go over is our average daily attendance. And I have tracked it from 2024, 2025, and then as where we're at right now from the beginning of the school year so far. And I believe you have a copy of all of this. I'm not going to read the percentages. One thing I want to point out that from every year, we have either increased or stayed about the same. None of the schools have decreased in average daily attendance. At the county level altogether in school year 2024, we were at 92%. 2025, we were at 93%, and right now we are at 94%. The goal is to obviously continue to increase and be at the state level is what they would like it at 95%. So we're on the right direction. Any questions on that? Okay.
The rock number seemed low to me.
So it is extremely low. So there are a couple, well, there's one student in particular that I believe attended 2 days, that's it, this school year. So that, if you look below, and I'm talking about numbers of students referred to court, that student is I have a hearing in a couple days for truancy. Some of the students are just, it's missing here and there. So it is low, and Mrs. Kelly is aware of that. And at the beginning of the year, it was, I don't want to say they were forgotten, but there's no student support members located at that school. The student support team are the ones who are pushing the attendance. So Mrs. Hess, the truancy specialist at the high school, has taken that on. And like I said, it kind of at the beginning, we were, I don't want to say forgotten, but it was overlooked because there's not a full-time staff member there for that.
Maybe since the Opportunity Center just got started this year, and we probably hear from you each quarter on an update, maybe can the board get a monthly update on the Roseburg Center on
Absolutely.
attendance so that we can get that on the right track? And I'm
Yes.
sure there's very specific student concerns that may play into these numbers.
Yes.
But just so that we can address this, as Mr. Kisner brought up, if you can just give us a more update through Mr. Martin.
Yeah.
With the small enrollment there too, is when you do have any students missing, those numbers move a lot more quickly in either direction.
Yes.
Yeah.
And every month when we have the principals meeting, I give all of the principals their school and broken down by grade level. So then I can just give that to Mr. Martin is from the Rock, if that's okay for you guys.
I guess part of my, you're saying you have one of the students at the Rock has only attended 2 days?
Only attended, a couple of days.
Would that not have been a breach of their contract requiring a second hearing?
They weren't there for a hearing.
They're not all.
They're not an expulsion diversion student.
Okay.
So this was a student that has been an attendance problem. And last year, the attendance improved because Mr. Martin, when he had the AEP class, took this student in to help improve attendance. And then, so I've already filed and I have a court hearing for truancy this week.
And that all makes sense, and that certainly covers that variable. I guess I just would expect with that low of an attendance that we probably have students there that do not have the excuses required as part of the contract, AKA the parent. Now maybe they do, but I'm just saying but at this point in time, you're saying no student has defaulted on their contract based on attendance.
No.
Nobody's had more than 10 that was part of a contract, and all of them have always had 100% of their notes making them excused absences.
Yes, whether it be a doctor's note submitted online, which is most of them are parent notes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, celebration. So as you know, I've said that the average daily attendance has been increasing. And as well, the chronic attendance has been decreasing, is what we obviously want. And I'm not sure if Mr. Martin has shared any information about the official 2025 balanced scorecard from the state that has been released, but Preston County is off the improvement status for attendance. So that goes out to the staff of the student support team. They're the boots on the ground. They're the ones doing it every day, and then I'm there to support them and go farther. So we've improved, and the state gave us a shout out for this at our regional attendance meeting as well. The Preston County Schools has improved the chronic absenteeism 3.74% from school year 24 to school year 25. So that's amazing. They would like it to be at 2% for every county, but we oversee that. So hopefully it just keeps going up. So like I said, the credit goes to the boots on the ground of the student support team. They work collaboratively daily with all Preston County school staff, students, parents, and the community agencies, promoting regular school attendance and then assisting and eliminating those barriers that students are having difficulties attending school regularly. So this is the number of students currently in the MTSS SAT process for attendance per school. And then I want to go to the student examples that's in your packet. So I believe Mr. Hovatter asked me this last year, and I really couldn't speak to it. And so I wanted to point it out that I remember that and speak to it now. So let me just pull my student packets here.
And you've given 4 sample student examples, which are in your packets, Mr. And they're in the executive content on the
So obviously, I'm just going to refer to them as student 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the order. But I want to point out, when you're looking at student 1, so at the top, this is when this student was having SAT meetings at the school with parent involvement, with staff involvement. That was the student's grades. So I'm just going to focus right now on the first 9 weeks. I will continue when I present to focus on these same students so we can see end of the year data as well. So there are the grades for when they were an attendance issue at school and we were having our MTSS meetings and doing school-based intervention. And then if you look at below that, the students' grades, and this is after the fact, I have these students in court now. So when court got involved, the parents themselves are being held more accountable because the parent resource navigator from the court system, the attorneys, everyone is involved in the process with the school system. So I do regular meetings with the attorneys, with the families, everyone involved in court, as well as go to court continuously representing the students, saying how they're improving attendance-wise. But this is showing, if you look then on the next page, with the grades, it shows, I printed out their attendance from last school year, and then the attendance as of now. So, and I just marked on my sheet, I don't know if it's on that one before, on your guys's before. I just wrote a little note at where we are right now in time on the old attendance, and how many parent notes and how many doctor's notes and how many unexcused there are for this student. And then now we're looking at 4 doctor's notes and 1 unexcused. So the attendance is improved as well as student grades, which then hopefully we'll see as well as in the GSA data and in boosting our proficiency percentage. Student 2, it's the same layout I did for all of them to make it easy to follow, obviously. But this one, every single grade has improved from C's and D's to always in a B just in the first semester. And the student is obviously attending school now, which is fantastic. Student 3, and these are all students, I should have said this, at different grade levels, and I did different schools as well. So student 3 had B's, C's, and an F, and had horrible attendance, now has straight A's in the middle school, and 0 absences. So that's huge. And this particular student, I was just speaking with the student support members at this school and said this student is a completely different child. Wants to be at school, is healthy and happy. And the parent was taking the student to urgent care and, a ton of doctor's notes last year. But since the fact of being in court and the court pushing for psych evals and the court pushing the go to counseling and all of the necessary treatments, it's working. Obviously, I don't want to take every kid and family to court, but if we have to make it a difference, I will live in court.
Student 1 and student 2 are both from Brewston, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Student 4, if you look at the grades from last year, the first 9 weeks, failing and then almost failing with a D. And now the student has A's and C's. And the attendance has been atrocious for several years. Like, this should have been put in court a long, long time ago. Now, 0 absences and 0 tardies. And this parent kept saying, when we were contacting and we were having our SAT meetings, oh, they're going to see a specialist because this is wrong. Oh, there is nothing, thankfully, wrong with the student. The student didn't want to go to school and the parent didn't make them. So the grades have all improved as we see the students in school, which we know that, but hopefully now the families are seeing that more and more as well. And like I said, if we need to continue taking more to court, then that's what we'll do, because we know the students need to be in school to be educated. Any questions on any of those?
I would just like to first thank you and commend you for the effort and the work that you've put into this. This is something that the board has asked for, and you're doing it. We appreciate that. I would like to request that you redouble your efforts to continue and do more of it, especially focusing on younger grade students, like of creating that culture in first grade of what our expectations are as a school system, and to train that behavior.
I will do that.
Thank you. Is there other questions regarding attendance?
Not a question, but I would like to say I think it is great that you're holding the parents accountable, especially at the younger grade levels, because at the end of the day, it is their responsibility to get the children there. And I think if you get the parents to get them to show up, then the kids are going to want to follow what their parents are doing. So I think it's very admirable, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Okay, so like I'll just reiterate from that I have one student, a new student this year in court for truancy. We have a total of 11 families, students in court from when I've started. Well, there's a couple from before I started that are still in the process 3.5 years later. CPS referrals from the school system, we've had 47 so far since school has started. Homeschool students, 479. And I added something that I believe is not on your guys's that I did over the weekend. Last year, Mr. Martin was asked to create an exit survey for us to put on a QR code, and a Microsoft form for parents to complete if they were pulling their student from Preston County Schools to homeschool. And every homeschool student, when they apply and send their information to me, there's a letter, and I believe I shared it with you last year, that has all of the reporting data, like the specific grades they need to report the data to me for the State Department. It explains all of that. On the bottom, we have the QR code. It's been on there since we started the form. And we only, to this day, have 5 guardians who have completed it.
I did 2 of them over the phone with them. I'm just telling you that.
Like, they are checked out then.
Yeah.
So, and I want to report on each of those 5 guardians of what they commented, of why they were pulling their student from Preston County Schools. We had one that said medical issue, one for anxiety, one due to the school closure, one stating that the high school classes were too large for their student, and then one said that the CTE classes being cut / a shortage of qualified teachers. So that's all we have as of now. Hope Scholarship students, we have 384. McKinney-Vento, we're at 64 students. Communities in schools, the state looked at every school that we had a community and school coordinator at from last year. And so they gave the coordinators their goal to focus instead of allowing them to create their own. They've always been attendance-based, But what they did was if your school was at 90% of average daily attendance or higher, then they wanted the site coordinator to focus on decreasing the chronic absenteeism, anywhere from 2 to 5%. All of Preston County schools were at 90% or higher, so the communities and schools coordinators' goals are all focusing on reducing the chronic absenteeism. And then the last piece, which is a lot here, student support services. So the student support service team collaborates, like I said before, with students, families, staff, and outside resources to help students stay in school and be successful. I've just listed a ton of information that what the student support team does. At the top, though, I want to share out, this is something new that we started this year. We spoke about it end of last year, and we started it already, is that they together they've created a Preston County Schools newsletter. I believe you have a copy supplied. And so it's promoting the good things. All we hear is negative. Well, a lot of the time we hear negative. We're not doing this, or something isn't going well. So being the student support service director, I feel like we need to share that. We need to present that. And so we did August, September newsletter together, and each student support service team member at their school worked with their principal. They went with their principal and spoke and said, I think this is something good we should be promoting, explaining to the community. And then if there was anything additional, then the administrator got to put feedback in as well so that they could create this. We will continue doing this all year. And so the October-November newsletter will be coming out right before Thanksgiving break. And it will be promoted on the website as well as on social media then for the community too. The next blurb there is just saying about what they provide service-wise. As counselors do group sessions, they do individual, there's just some topics listed there, which includes anger management, drug prevention, coping skills, basic needs, healthy relationship, etc. I'm not going to read them all to you, but I just wanted you guys to have those on hand. Below that is other things in addition to the services, the counseling, the providing lessons and classes, is that on a daily basis they are providing hygiene products for the kids. They're providing them clothes. They're providing them food. As we would think that this is not education and what, when I went to school, education looked like, but this is an extreme need. Kids cannot come to school and feel welcomed and ready to learn if they are filthy, if they've not had anything in their stomach. So we are continuously working with outside services and with the grant funding of the McKinney-Vento and all of that to provide these resources for the students who need them. This year, and we always do the food bags on the Fridays, but in the holiday meals, but this year, in addition to the regular churches that we always have, the Catholic churches, Chestnut Ridge Church in Morgantown is a huge provider for us. But we also had LEC, the farmers market here. They reached out to one of the student support team members, and they are providing 25 full meals for Thanksgiving per Preston County school. And they wanted to, they were gonna do it all on their own. And they're doing vouchers. So we are not, we're looking at the families, we're identifying which families, but the schools, the support members are giving a voucher to them. And then they're gonna be located at the schools right before Thanksgiving over the break, and the family just comes and gives them the voucher. They load their vehicle up with everything. And as we know, transportation is a huge issue for several of our families in need. They are also delivering, like going to their house all through the community if they need it delivered. They started calling local businesses after we were like, yes, we need this, we need this. And they have already exceeded, and they are going above 25 meals now, which is fantastic. And the bottom there, just knowing that our student support team members, yes, they focus with the kids in the schools, but also giving those families the resources, letting them know where the resources are. So if they need food on the weekend, if they need help with their electric bill, we should not be, I don't believe that we should be providing that, giving, here's this, but they're giving them and not enabling them. They're giving them the book and saying, this is where you should be contacting out. This is where you should be looking at. We will take care of your child here and provide what we can. However, we are not paying their bills that they cannot pay. Any questions?
When you gave the figure for the number of CPS referrals, does that mean that, is that literally every time any teacher in the system has made a call, you get notified, meaning that is the 100% culmination, or that is just anytime you and your staff have specifically done it?
So we have a Microsoft form that the whole county has, that we create a new one every year, and it is shared out. So any staff member, when they call it in, they fill out the form, and then it goes back to me. And so then I have monthly meetings with prosecuting attorney's office and everyone, and they go over as many as they can in that time frame of all of the referrals from the school system.
So it should be literally every time. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
Hearing nothing, once, twice, gone. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you. Next, we have Katrina Kurtzetter, Chief School Business Official.
And Ms. Kerster, I must have missed, I have everything except the PowerPoint in there. I'll get that added up. If you don't mind afterwards, I'll just make sure that that's in there, that we make sure that it's.
Yeah,
loaded
I'll
in
forward it
for
to
the
you.
agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please just start by introducing yourself and your job.
My name is Katrina Kerstetter, and I am the treasurer for the district for the 14th year in a row. Okay, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of pretty much how we ended last year financially. Okay. Financial statements are due to the state, or in general, at the end of September. We got ours in around the 17th of the month, fully completed. The state auditors will be doing our audit again, and as well as the schools. As of right now, I have not heard from the auditors, so I have absolutely no idea when they are going to be in the school or here.
Mr. Kerster, I just want to reiterate that again, the district and all district schools are audited on an annual basis financially, just for the general
By
public.
the state auditor's office. And they, they're here for about
Several months.
yeah, anywhere from like a month and a half to 2 months, and then they create the report from the documents that I create. First slide is an overview of our financial fund balance for the last several years. As you can see, we have progressively gone up each year. Now, I will say, if you can see the high increase is pretty much because we were also getting a lot of money federally because of COVID. But as you can see, we were doing really well. With the fund, we had a positive fund balance before that. We have gone down as expected based on forecasting once that money did go away. This is just a comparison between last year's audited finances and this year's unaudited. The big thing to take away, as you can see, we did drop $500,000 between the fund balance of last year and this year. Once again, as pretty much as what we're going to expect. And the difference between the two bolded numbers, when you take into encumbrances, there was like 800,000 difference. That is POs that were in the system that have not been paid. They were paid in this year, but they were pretty much already accounted for last year. We kind of add that back in, so you see, we have these expenses that we have already taken on that we need to pay out for the next year. I want to make a point that for the third year in a row, we have not received our sheriff's statement from the sheriff's tax office. I did not put a ton of effort into trying to get it this year as I did last year. The auditors tried to do a little bit for me. They were unable to get it at all last year. So we were using old numbers to try to do the best we can to get those estimated numbers. Hopefully they will do better being able to get it this year, and then there might be a slight adjustment to our finances based on those new numbers. Or they will ride with what we have based on the numbers that we've used. To the best of my knowledge, I tried to estimate what it should be.
So can you lay out for us the repercussions of that? Like, when you say you don't get their report, and that report determines what?
It's dealing with our tax revenue. And it's just the differences between the year lapse. So, I mean, it is not our book, like actual district, like it's not like district level book, so it doesn't, none of it affects my, like my financial system. This is all that upper level governmental finance number.
It affects a projected budget item, but
yeah,
it does not affect the actual money revenue.
Actual,
that
like our
comes
fund
in.
balance doesn't affect that.
Yeah.
It just doesn't give you a clearer picture of what we can expect
That
for revenue.
overall expense, yeah,
Of
it
what
doesn't
is
give you
expected
that.
to come in through property tax
The
revenue.
sheriff's office, tax office should be creating this document, and we have been unable to get it, and I don't believe they actually even created it last year,
Ms.
based on
Custer,
the auditor's situation.
have we found, though, that the tax revenue is actually, in terms of property valuation and so forth, has
Our tax
increased?
revenue is doing well. That, like I said, that is all separate issues here. Tax money still comes in. We're getting our tax money. It's not that. It's just that this report is needed for us to properly, create our financial statements, and we're just not getting it. And like I said, I do my best to do using numbers that we got that were good numbers at the time, working in what's the difference, and then making the best adjustment that I can. But I do want to make a point that there may, if they do get that statement, it would affect the governmental numbers, not necessarily the fund balance, but it's going to change some numbers in our financial statements if they do get that. Just something to keep in mind. Just a general overview of what's to come. Like I said, the auditors typically come here between December and March. They have to have everything submitted for the finances by the end of March, so hopefully they'll be contacting me very soon. You have, in January, February is when we start the budget season again. Then you have April is all the tax rate things at that point. And then May, we're going to have the budget will be submitted. And then June, again, we start the process for this year's financial statements. That's generally your overview of how things roll. I have provided to you the carryover journal entries. Just again, you already approved those for the year, but I just wanted to give you the full layout. I gave you the cash flow for October, which there's a line that shows how that journal entry adjusted our cash and everything. The October monthly financial report, and I also gave you the financial analysis that the state creates and it gives to us every July. I'm pretty sure you actually get it in your meetings as well, but I thought I'd just give it to you again just because I had it. And then that is it. Any questions?
Do you see any significant warning flags that the board needs to be aware of moving forward?
I think that we really just need to be very aware of how we're spending our money and the excess and things of that nature, because it will eat away at that fund balance, most certainly. Like I said, I don't think we were able to do very well with it. However, if you keep eating away at it, you know, we're gonna, I mean, I hope that we could sustain a nice $2 million fund balance, but I don't want to get to that point. I would like to keep that higher one if at all possible, really streamline what we are doing. The things that are most effective, we keep. The things that are not doing us any good, we stop, and that'll help keep us in a very nice black area.
I mean, that's done from the budget level.
That's coming from everyone's, I mean, I can budget all I want, but I have to have people who are willing to look at our software purchases, look at the purchases we're making, look at the professional development that we are doing, and make those adjustments. I can't do that.
But that would come from the
I
superintendent.
would take, and the directors.
Okay. And
They need to get on board with that, which they are, but it's just, it takes us a lot of upkeep and focus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's never
not-
ending.
It's not like they're not doing that. It's just, it's gonna be constant and it's hard sometimes.
I just want to say I commend Mrs. Karstetter's efforts. I mean, when you look at some of the significant financial struggles that numerous West Virginia districts are dealing with right now, I mean, we have schools that are specifically closing buildings because, I mean, financially they're underwater.
Other
We're-
school systems, you're saying, yeah.
Yes, and, you know, it's, I think we will see a major uptick this year in terms of state takeovers of districts specific to finances, and we are not there.
And I'd like to stay not there.
That's right.
I'd like everybody to hop on my bandwagon.
So when I look at the unrestricted fund balance that you gave us over the past 14 years, right? It is constantly, even though the first 3 years
Yes.
started out, and again.
That was
I know
what
that
I was
history.
feeling. Yeah, I came
Right.
in on that first
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
and then it, obviously, something like that takes
Yeah.
multiple years to dig yourself out of.
So I know that history, and it comes up through, and so up through 24, we have maintained always increasing that.
Oh,
right?
yes.
And so you're pointing out
Maybe not
that
a
we
lot,
went
but-
down 3/4.
Which I do
right?
expect, because we have to we now are paying for stuff that the COVID money was helping us
Right.
not.
So that's my question. Do you expect the FY '26 to continue down? Are you expecting a plateau, or are you expecting to bring it back up?
I expect to go down.
Okay.
I still expect that we are still in a, especially because the levy, obviously, we have a little bit of money in levy. Those things help that fund balance stay nice, and we can't get rid of everything. We can't just say, we're not paying for this now and expect things to happen. We can't do that. We're gonna still have to pay for stuff. And so I expect it to go down. I don't think 14 million is necessarily our long-term place. I think
Yeah.
we will have to come down.
Yeah, which means that
But we have to adjust that.
we're living outside of our means.
We are.
Right? I mean, that
We are.
ultimately means for the average household that they are
Correct.
living partially off of savings in our case. So, and
500,000.
again, I'm not saying that we need a $14 million nest egg, but I am asking, what, in your mindset, what year are you expecting to plateau or say that, or, I
Well,
mean,
if you
like,
remember that forecast, if we do nothing at this point, in 5 years, we will be hitting the bottom.
Right.
We'll hit it quick.
Right.
Like, this isn't something that will, like, we're lucky that it's still only 500 drop. Like,
Yeah.
if we do not adjust, it will hit that bottom.
yeah. So I guess, I mean, again, so I'm saying, when you and Mr. Martin are meeting, what are you projecting as you're saying, okay, we're gonna be okay? Are you looking at this as, in 3 years, we've got to figure out how to level? Or are you looking at this as, we should not get below 8 million or 10 million or whatever artificial, or I shouldn't say artificial,
I'm
whatever
saying we
number
do
is
it now.
selected.
Like, I have been, last year I hit hard
Yeah.
to make these adjustments, and it's just, sometimes it's a slower, we were still under contract with, you know, like, there's things that we have to roll off
Right.
and then start paring down in a slow process. We are working on that. We're not waiting by
Right,
any
no, I know
means
adjustments are already being
to-
made. I'm just saying,
for
where
things
do
to
you?
go down. I hope that we plateau within the next couple years because of all those adjustments. I don't want to see below 10, you know, but I'd like to adjust to that plateau.
I would say this, though, I
Like
mean,
2-3 years.
our number one cost is personnel, and we are consistently cutting to, you know, to operate at state aid formula. I mean, as much as humanly possible. So, that's.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have decreases in federal grant money and
Right.
things. Within enrollment, obviously, the money,
Right.
those grants,
Our-
those big
our
grants.
continued
that do,
loss of enrollment
they come down.
contributes
So
to
those are
this
other
as well.
things that are ever changing and affecting that number as well, which are harder to adjust for necessarily.
So you're saying that your goal is not to go below 10? That's one of your goals,
Yeah.
okay? So, and again, I don't remember what the 5-year till we're in the thing, but I mean, I would suspect that only means we have maybe 2 more years at best of being above what we're taking
Yeah.
in, right? Is there a way, is there a clear and concise way that we could get a report on a regular basis of really what you perceive that is living outside of his means? So for instance, when Mr. Martin talks about personnel, and that being one of them that we know is out there, but you brought up curriculum kind of in what you were saying, like our software contracts and things of that nature. So I'm saying, like, is there a way that we can be monitoring the places that we know that we are the biggest outside of where we should be, that we could be looking at on a more regular basis, or that you're already looking at?
I mean, you see when we have those $100,000 charges for one software, and we're doing it multiple times, those are the problems, because those were purchased when we got COVID.
Yeah.
When those things were never purchased prior to that.
Right.
And now we've picked them up.
Are these curriculum softwares or
Yeah.
these management softwares?
They're the platforms,
You
that's
mean like
not
the
really
like the
my.
iReady and stuff like that?
Well, the iReady is difficult too, because that's now the way to get.
It's a diagnostic. It's a
Schoology is a big one. Yeah.
Canvas, those types.
Learning platform. Seesaw. There's another one I'm thinking of, and I can't come up with the name offhand. But they're expensive. And like I said, we picked them up when we had the money, but
There are options where we could reduce those, but I mean, then I think the public and the staff and everyone needs to understand it's not going to have the same level of functionality that one
No, this was-
has
you don't
become
wanna do it.
accustomed to. And, I think that's part of it in terms of discussion of, future discussions in terms of a levy. A levy allows you to take things above and beyond. If that, we are going to have to look, as Mr. Kisner alluded to live within our means in every aspect, whether it's curriculum programs, textbook adoptions, personnel, transportation. It's, all of those things have to be on the table.
there's no easy way after the fact to give you numbers other than just to, like, the way we code for purchases is just a code line item. Instruction supplies is a lot of things, but I can only run to that code. So it makes it hard. I mean, you can look at that code line item and see where we are, see where the budget was, but it's not as pretty as you would probably want it to be.
Can I ask you
More
maybe in a
than
different manner? You create a balanced budget each year, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and that balanced budget does not take into account using any reserves. That's balanced, literally taking into account.
No, that has to. If you notice, there is, like, each year we have, to balance, we've had to use about 2 to 3 million reserve.
Okay, so your balanced budget does take into account cutting into the next thing? Okay. Is there a way to run a report that says, say, the top 20 items that went over budget each month, or over a year, or over any period?
No, you're just looking at line items.
Are we running over budget, though?
Not necessarily, because
Well, not if the budget's allowed to go into your nest egg, but we are.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I think you're asking two different things. I mean, because you're asking to print a list of things that went over budget, but nothing's going over budget because we're factoring in pooling off of our fund balance.
Yeah, and
Where
there's
I think a way to that would be if we had a budget that was not pooling from our fund balance, and then as a community, we would need to make a decision, are these things that we want to forego? Because what I'm hearing is down the road, we're looking 2 or 3 years, are we talking that we're cutting personnel and making class sizes bigger? Are we cutting electronic curriculum so that students don't have access to things at home on the computer in addition to a textbook? Is this leading to school closures, which no one wants to talk about? But what I'm hearing is 3 to 5 years from now, we're going to have some tough decisions, right?
That is if nothing is done.
That's if nothing is done, which is why.
Things have already been done.
We're doing things, but we're still using prior year leftovers. I mean, we're
Yeah.
still, and which is what Mr. Kisner's getting
Most
at.
school districts, and obviously you have to remember as well, we have to set aside 3% to 5%. That is included in that. That
Yeah.
percent is also the part that
But that's required. I mean,
but it's included, that to balance our budget, that has to be a expense line item.
right.
Which you're
So,
factoring
which
that
we
in.
have to then use some of the reserve. We have to use our reserve to have the nest egg. Do you know what I mean?
I think we understand that.
So,
Mr. Kisner?
Well, I'm just saying that we're not really putting money away if I mean, we may be putting it in a special encumbered fund, but we're not really putting money away if we're cutting into our savings, right? Like, if our savings goes down $800,000 and we put away, I don't care, $300,000 of it into that thing, we really didn't actually put anything away. We really still overspent by $500,000. And I understand that you're meeting the letter of the law. That's not what I'm,
that budget though, that, when the budget is made, that 14 million isn't part of it. Only 2 to 3 million of that.
Right.
And then I add on the remainder when we do the carryover. So we work with just that 3%, 5% reserve that we're supposed to hold.
and I'm trying not.
That's what we eat away at. That amount that the state says, you're gonna eat away at something most likely, you need to reserve it.
And I guess my next statement would just be, and I know I'm about to be your least favorite person in the entire room, but like, for me, I feel like we should be making a budget off of what our actual income is with no cutting into any savings, and then be comparing that, because that's where we've got to get to in the next 3 years, right?
That's what I'm saying, I do. The 3 million is what is required to be used as the reserve.
To be put into the reserve.
To
But I'm
be
saying,
budgeted for.
yeah, but I'm saying
I'm
like.
not budgeting the 10 million or the 14 million.
Yeah, he's not saying that.
Yeah, I'm saying that the money that we actually intend to take in the next school year, that's $12 million, that we should have a budget that says, here's how much is available for curriculum, for personnel, for whatever, that balances at that $12 million mark, and be comparing that to the other budget that you're currently using that does allow usage of our savings, in order for us to be able to see how that gap is going. Now, again, I realize for everybody that is not I'm not proposing a small feat. And that's why I'm saying I know I'm about to be my favorite person, but somehow I think we've got to have some kind of a visual of what gaps have got to be closing without it just being, hey, we know we're going down. I mean, and I'm not saying you're taking it.
Before you respond, can I just say what he's saying in a maybe slightly different language so it's a little bit clearer, is that if we have $12 million coming in as funding, and say we're currently spending $12,500,000, we're eating out $500,000 of our reserves each year. Could we see a budget that says we have $12 million coming in, here are the $12 million of expenses, and then here's specifically what you recommend, the $500,000 of expenses that are eating away from our balance, so that we as a community can see this is what that looks like.
But I personally can't be making all those decisions. You know what I mean? Like that's the problem.
Yeah.
And your monthly report does in fact show, until I make budget journal entries to change, which I don't do until June, that monthly report literally shows you, this is what we've budgeted for in this line item, and this is how much more we spent or under we've spent in these line items.
Right, but that goes against a budget that's already cutting into savings. And I'm saying that we need to compare.
No, because it's still showing the savings is set in a reserve fund, not expense. And we have to have that reserve fund. So,
Maybe I shouldn't say.
Very little of it is actually used for expenses.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say savings. The unrestricted fund balance that is decreasing is what I'm referring to. I'm sorry. I'm
It
using
won't show
bad
that
verbiage.
at all.
So
It's all in a reserve fund.
your budget does not in any way account.
I do not, when I make that carryover in October to show the full 13 million, it is not expensed out. It is put in a reserved line item. And you're gonna see the 13 million there. And so the actual budget with expenses is still at our zero. So money we come in, money go out.
Right.
Not taking any of our, if any, there might have been a little bit this year, but most of it is just the reserve that is required to hold.
With that reserve, are we spending that every year? Are we going above that reserve that we're required to hold? I mean, that's what you're saying, we're gonna be spending that and then some, right?
There is money in and out and some at the end to do the budget, but most of the time, it's reallocating the budget line items that we have out there that aren't being spent.
So speaking of the budget.
But obviously, we did use more last year than what
On
was
on
in
the
those
budget
line
journal
items.
entries, a couple meetings ago, I think we were in
Yes.
Terre Haute. The bottom, not all of them, but some of them, the bottom line item was fund transfer out. So is that money that was left over that wasn't spent, so then you just pulled it out and it went back into like the general fund and then you reallocated, or how?
Well, some of those
what does
are like
that funds
for-
transfer out exactly mean? And I have one
I have
pulled
that
up
one.
if you'd like to look at it, just to.
I don't know necessarily what, but fund transfers out have to do with, we have to transfer to other funds, Tribe Nutrition, that's what I had shown you, that transfer from the, I don't know what there.
The one I have
Fund
pulled
deleted.
up is Title IX funds,
hmm.
for instance. This one I'm looking at is Title IX funds. There was a transfer out at the bottom of it.
There's no Title IX.
And then Title II. I just didn't know what that meant. I just want clarification on that.
That might just be how I word things versus what you're actually seeing. 'Cause I don't, off the top of my head, I have no idea what that Excel looks like that you're pulling from.
It's the.
Like, I know what it is, but I don't know where you're
meeting,
referencing off the top of my head. I don't know what that would be. But most of the transfers are either transferring, it's all in budget, not necessarily in reality. But we do have transfers that have to go from fund to fund per either code, because we have to transfer professional development and service from Fund 11 to 61. They won't let us actually budget in 61. We have to do the transfer. Child nutrition transfers out. That's the big one. There's 100,000 more. It's like 700. That's going to that. And we do some other small ones.
I think that's going to be something maybe you email Ms. Kurtzetter and then she.
Because I'm
address
sure
that.
I can tell you exactly what it is. It's just.
Is it possible to
reference them.
flip the PowerPoint back to the first slide where it showed the unrestricted balance?
Page 3, I think.
That one?
That one?
Was that the one that was showing it decreasing?
Yeah, I mean, they're both. How do you want to see it? All the numbers are both there.
Okay, so this one here, so where it goes from this past year to the year before, where it decreased, I think, $500,000. What I would recommend or ask is for you and Mr. Martin and all the directors working together, that when we get the next budget, which will be April or May, of showing us a budget, and I know it's like a whole bunch of magic because you don't have a report from the sheriff's office of saying exactly what our revenue is going to be or everything. But if there could be a side document to the budget that shows, okay, here's a budget where that line stays flat, as opposed to decreasing where we're pulling from our unrestricted fund balance. But we have, here's what a budget will look like if that line stays flat. Not that you're proposing that, or especially that the superintendent is not proposing that, because that would be cutting from students that we don't want, services that we don't want to cut from, so that we could see what that money, if we keep spending down from an unrestricted balance, what decisions that is forcing our district to make. I'm saying the same thing that Mr. Kisner is saying in a different way.
I do show that budget summary page does give you that each level. So it tells you, here's how much we're going to get in this year, personnel-related expenses, other expenses, and then it gives you the negative or the positive. And then it gives you, we're going to pull the 3 to 5% here, we're going to pull another, let's say the 500 here to get to zero. It shows that progression down.
Okay.
If I understood your answer earlier, and I may have misunderstood, but I thought that but what I understood you say was that the budget includes your expectation of the amounts that will cut into the unrestricted fund balance. Is that correct or incorrect?
If there is any, but
Okay.
I have to always add in the 3 to 5%.
Right, and that's-
Regardless of what If it is or isn't, I have to add that as well.
Yeah, and I'm not concerned about the 3 to 5%
Yeah.
in any way, shape, or form. What I'm concerned about is that when we've had curriculum being presented to us, they're saying, yeah, we have the money, there's no problem. And I'm not saying that they're
But
incorrect
this is
in that.
different. I don't show you any grants.
Yeah.
Which, at that point, most of the time it was grants. So at this point, I will have to know from them what they expect the county to pick up. But I do not show anything with grants, Title I, like particularly
Right.
because they have a big budget. That is never budgeted.
Right, but what I think that our curriculum
At my
directors need to be able to forecast is to know that in 3 years, if it is going to be the case, which is what I'm suspecting, that their curriculum budget line is not going to be 500,000, but it's going to be 378,000 or something less. And I'm thinking that if we, does that make sense? I mean, that's the thing that I think they've got, because number one, all the decisions that are being made right now are based on the fact that we believe that we can continue to have laptops into perpetuity, right? And continue to have online software and books. And those decisions or if they're cutting into this unrestricted fund balance, those decisions need to start thinking sooner than
The
later, right?
laptops aren't, Mr.
Yeah,
Kizzy. The
they-
laptops are pulled directly
Certain
from.
things do have their own funding sources,
But
Yeah.
the-
like
his-
laptops.
but his concept,
And curriculum, we
his
have.
point,
I
his
understand
point
what
still
you're
is the
saying.
same,
And,
is that.
you know, when we're looking at curriculum, that is technically coming out of step 7. Now, should we be using all of step 7 for it? No. And there is a push to then to actually budget a hard and fast number for them to work around.
Right, but I want to incorporate with tech in particular. I mean, that's where Mr. Sines has to assess in terms of device totals as to, at times, if he doesn't have sufficient budget for it, then he's going to stretch the term in which you would use those devices.
Yeah.
Like, what you would want to try, I mean, generally Paul may try to get 4 years out of a device. He may have to stretch it to 5. I mean, he may have to forego a purchasing cycle 1 year, which then you got kids using, older devices that are possibly out of warranty. It creates a new set of issues. Can it be done? Yes, but I mean, we use tech as an example
He
there.
is not used.
He's not
county
tapping into
money.
that at all. No,
I
He's
don't-
using his
Step
own
7B,
budgets.
which
I don't
is
want
very
my
specific.
example to prevent the
But-
conversation.
No, I understand.
No, but like a lot of times though, there are things that have their own funding
Right,
paths, not
right.
even-
I'm saying, how does Mr. Martin know which areas are going to start getting their belt tightened? Besides personnel, we know personnel is a big one, but I'm saying besides personnel, how is Mr. Martin able to what information are you providing to him that he knows those areas are going to get tight?
I mean, I would say this in terms of Mrs. Varner and Mrs. Kerstader's goal setting. I mean, we looked specifically at the Step 7 budget, which was, been a point of discussion this year, and to really look at all levels of how we're incorporating Step 7, for example, as to, where are we having overruns? What can we cut back? Correct. I mean, you can speak to that, guys, if you like, but that's something we've internally had a discussion on for sure.
Yes. And then that's how a lot of things are. And really, the only things that really are not like controlled are maintenance and transportation. Everybody else has either their own budget to like grant to follow, or it doesn't come out of, it's just not coming out of county. But those two things are,
Well, $800,000 of something did.
well, that also includes, you got to think that is also levies included in that money as well.
Right, but without the levy, something else has to pay for them, or they have to.
Well,
get
we had
cut?
the project at Kingwood, that would have been already encumbered at that point.
Yeah.
So it was included in that amount. I mean, a lot of those things aren't going to happen on that kind of scale once we no longer have the levy, especially the maintenance side of things. They'll happen on a much smaller scale.
So I think we could probably talk about this all night and all year. It's incredibly complex, and we appreciate what you're doing. You're working with a lot of unknowns and a lot of funds that are coming from multiple different sources, grants, federal, state, whatever, and it's very complex. But I think also, as board members, it's very complex for us to decipher all of this information, and we appreciate the information that you get. But I would propose, unless there's opposition from the other board members, is that we bring today's discussion to an end. But as we move forward and for the next time that you present to us and for the budget, I feel that we need to get to a point sooner than later that we have a budget that fully reflects a plateaued unrestricted fund balance, that we at least know what it is, so that as we approve a budget that touches onto that we can do it knowingly. And I know that that's going to change because federal money, is it coming, is it not coming, what's it for specifically? But these are very complex, difficult issues that require decisions to be made, and the board has to make those decisions based on your recommendations. And it's going to impact students, and it's a very complex thing. So that's all I'm getting at, is to summarize. If we could maybe step it up, that we say, here's what a level fund balance looks like, and this is what it means, so that we can start that conversation. Is that fair?
I would say, I mean, right now, we can go pull and I'll resubmit you the budget summary from this year.
Okay.
Because it will show you that negative or positive in the breakdown. So
Okay.
you can see how much of the carryover we are
And then,
adding to.
and for the presentation for this upcoming budget, because we've already approved this budget, I think that needs to be
Well,
more,
it's always submitted, it's one of the main things.
What I'm
So I
saying
will
is-
make sure it is,
and maybe we'll draw more of our attention to that, or if we need to have a work session beforehand so that we can fully
well, because I can't
understand
submit you, I mean, I can make you, so you can see it, but at the end of the day, I still have to present you a zeroed out, zero balance.
Yeah, but do you understand what
But I
I'm
can show
getting
you
at?
that
I'm saying
breakdown
the
so
same
you
thing I
see
feel that Mr.
the
Kisner is
negative,
that we
so
need to know
needs
what
go
that,
away.
Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest. What I'm requesting is not something that the state wants, right? Like what I'm
that's-
suggesting is a management purpose report, not one that the state says that we're. So again, I'm going to look at what you have and we'll talk from there. What the state wants with all those adjustments is not what I think would be beneficial to Mr. Martin as he's making decisions. And I could be wrong on that. So I'm going to wait and look at what you've got. So I appreciate your offer and your time.
and we thank you.
Before we move forward.
Yep, Mr. O'Better.
For the new board members, can you describe or paraphrase real quick what the Step 7 funding is, just so they know what we're talking about?
The state aid funding that we get from the state is actually broken up into 10 steps, each focusing on different things. There's step 4 that deals with maintenance, and 2 and 1 are professional and service personnel. 7 is dealing with instructional things. So that is giving, as well as in that whole block, you have bus payments are coming out of those steps, but the step 7 that we use is mainly instruction. And it gives us flexibility to buy books out of it, to hire more personnel that are specifically instruction curriculum-based, some technology. We have money coming out of that for our finances. That's where our school finance platform comes out of, to help pay for that. We have all of our fairs, educational activities is what we call it, to help us fund that whole thing so the whole county can participate without an added expense to the schools. And the coaching is what comes out of that. So it has a complete flexibility. We can really pay for it however we want. The state has opened that code up completely into our discretion, along with some other steps. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, Mr. Martin, I believe that completes our presentations?
Yes.
Right? Okay. All right, everyone, now we're at the point of approving the agenda for our regular and routine business items.
My screen just cleared off. I have to log back on, unless you just want me to do a voice.
Can we do a voice vote for
Sure.
Mr.
I
O'Better?
can, he can just tell me what he wants, so I can put it
Okay,
in.
so this is an action item. It's recommended that the board approve the meeting agenda. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mr.
Second.
Kisner. Hold on a second, let me get myself.
Second
Second by Mrs. Noss. Is there any discussion, changes to the agenda order? Not hearing any. This will be an electronic vote, except for Mr. Hovatter, which will be a voice vote.
Okay.
No, I'm back on.
Yeah.
Voting is open. Just let me know if you need me to, Mr. Herbetter. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Okay, next we have meeting minutes from the October 27th, 2025 meeting. This is an information and an action item. It's recommended that the board approve the minutes from the October 27th, 2025 board meeting. May I get that motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Noss.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hovatter. Is there any discussion or corrections to the meeting minutes? Not hearing any. The motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for approving meeting minutes.
Voting is open.
Really looks to me like something went wrong. I thought there was only be 30-minute meeting without me there.
It's a long hearing. Motion passes 3-0 with one abstention.
Next, we have service personnel. This is an action item. It is recommended that the board approve the service personnel agenda. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hovatter.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kisner. Is there any information from Mrs. Varner or Mr. Martin?
We do have a recommendation on here to fill the cook custodian position at PHS, which has been a problem. We have actually had cook staff that's taking on some additional shift work to try to accommodate some of the custodial needs, so we're very happy to get that position hired. Believe anything else, Mrs. Varner, right now?
Are there any questions or discussion amongst board members? Not hearing any? The motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for approval of the service personnel agenda.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the professional personnel agenda. This is an action item. It's recommended that the board approve the professional agenda. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kisner.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hovatter. Okay, Mrs. Varner, Mr. Martin, is there any information you'd like to provide?
I will a little bit. Let me see if I can get that. A couple of things. There has been a request for a new position. This is a specific request of the PHS boys basketball program. They have requested an additional assistant coach position. This position will not be paid for from county funds. The program has been provided with a quote as to the total position cost, which is in line with the budgeted total for any other assistant position and with additional benefits, and that cost will be incurred specific to the program. So didn't want to let you know, we're not necessarily requesting to add a new position out of county budget. The program itself, based upon their budget, feels that they can absorb the cost.
Can I speak real
Sure.
quick to that? If
Yes.
that funding went away, does the position go away?
Yes, and we anticipated in our discussions with the coach that we would likely, either the coach, in that instance, they may resign at the end of the season, or we would go to RIF that position, not knowing if the funding would be there for the next year. So and that's a good question, Mr. Ted. This is basically a one-year request, year-to-year request. The only other thing I would say is we do apologize. There was a delay in the resignation of a coaching position on here that was actually received back in late September. It was just missed on the agenda. However, in this instance, the football program is looking to absorb that salary to cover two additional coaches with a partial. So basically, that salary would be split between two assistants who were previously in a volunteer assistant role. They have been placed on this agenda in an assistant football role for, again, a 1 year only, to be paid out a partial salary on that position. So just wanted to clarify some complicated maneuverings there. I just wanted to answer any questions that might pop up on that.
Can we just make sure that the minutes reflect that these are 1 year only
Yes.
appointments?
What is the professional interpreter position?
Mrs. Varner, that would be primarily in terms of.
Actually, I can remove that now because that student has left the county. So we no longer need that position.
Like the sign language,
Sign
correct?
language, it was an ASL position, but the student has moved. So I can remove that now.
Okay.
And I think generally, if we were unable to fill that as a position, that was a position that we've typically tried to fill through one of our MOU
Yes.
commitments, like with Best Life Therapy.
Best Life Therapy was covering that
Okay.
position until the student left.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Noss?
Yeah,
Oh,
so.
yes, thank you, Ms. Noss. I know we
Yep.
wanted to bring that
So
up.
I'm going to bring up the Central Preston Middle School head cheer coach. This is also the person that came before us in Aurora to start the high school age dance club. Because it was the same person, it alerted me with the SSAC rules. So Superintendent Martin and myself was on a call this morning so I could get some clarification to make sure we weren't putting any of our students in violation of those rules. And by the SSAC standards, they don't view the dance club as the same type of team as the cheer club. So therefore, there is no violations that will occur with her being involved with both. And I just wanted to make sure that was the case, because like I'd stated in Aurora, a lot of time our students and our parents don't understand those. And I think we as a school system have to be aware of those
And
things.
thank you for making that inquiry, Mrs. Noss. Yeah, I certainly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Is there any additional questions or discussion regarding the professional personnel?
Is there anything extenuating regarding the music position? And again, if it can't be shared publicly, we're not going to go into executive session, so, okay.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay, not hearing any. This is an action item. The motion has been moved and seconded. I call the vote for the professional personnel agenda.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have a service personnel contract. This is an information discussion item. Mr. Martin?
Yeah, this was actually a requested agenda item from the 1027 meeting. It was requested by Board Member Zigray. He asked for this based upon the discussion related to the circumstances of bus aid assignments. It was something that was brought up through the personnel hearing at the Aurora School during the 1027 meeting. Just to quickly respond, I know Mr. Zigray is not here today, but I plan to review existing board policy and protocols related to bus aid assignments, and have discussion with service personnel representatives to determine to try to develop a protocol for the 26-27 academic year. The thought process is what came up during the course of that discussion is that we have instances. Our general practice has been that when we have a aide who is required to ride a bus, that we start at the top of the seniority list. We offer and the reason we have to offer it in this manner is because there's additional pay that would be associated. So we start at the top of the seniority list within a building. We offer that assignment to the most senior aide in the building, working our way downwards. It often drops to the least senior. I mean, it depends upon the bus assignment. Some bus assignments are probably considered more desirable than others. But ultimately, if no one is willing to accept the assignment, it ultimately would drop to the lowest seniority individual or lowest seniority aide within the building. The problem that we're seeing is, we're seeing a variety of personnel shifts, is that duty is then getting bumped around and shifted to multiple individuals. So, and oftentimes these bus aid positions are a requirement of a student, special needs student, something that is IEP required. And what we don't want to see is just this parade of lots of different people who are then having to work in that capacity. I don't think that's necessarily good from the student standpoint for consistency either. So the thought process will be to develop a protocol or to establish some type of contractual obligation that would lock in that individual for at least the semester. So if they start the year in August, that they are riding the bus at, say, we'll use South Preston, for example, that they will continue to ride the bus at South Preston in that assignment throughout the course of the first semester. The only exception where that would not be the case would be is if the individual obviously resigned from the position, or service personnel are permitted to bid into a different position one time. I mean, by code, service personnel can move once per semester. If the individual bids out of the position and bids out of the school, for example, then we would then have to get someone else to pick up the assignment. But what we're trying to do is to limit the number of times that we're seeing this change over, or if someone comes into a hiring situation believing that they don't have commitments or might have evening commitments but not morning commitments, we're trying to where we lock that in up front where it's a more stable situation all the way around. I mean, that's kind of the intent. That was, as per the discussion at our last meeting, that was kind of the impression I got was something that was being sought.
Yes. So you'll work on that further, and that'll be a part of future contracts?
Yeah, I don't want to try to change course,
Yeah,
midstream in the year, but I think it needs to be an intent that we have, and I think that requires discussion with our hired aides and with representation with the service personnel, because, again, that's somewhat of a departure from our previous practices. I don't know that we have that spelled out specifically in policy. If we do, then obviously that requires policy adjustment. Otherwise, we need to have a written formal protocol that we're following closely. So I'm going to investigate that, and obviously with the intent to have that in place for the 26-27 academic year.
Any discussion? Next, we have the superintendent's report.
Okay, board members and student board members, in your packets, you should have received the weekly updates. I have one from 11/3 and one from today. They include a weekly schedule. I'll refer to the weekly schedule on this most recent, but it runs basically through the Christmas break. I did want to call to attention, myself, along with a delegation from 8 of our schools, actually attended a regional event at Kaiser High School. That was probably right around that time. And basically, it was to receive funding from, it was basically funding to the Community and Schools Virtual Pantry. There are 3 major benefactors or contributors. Gentleman's name is Sean and Angela Ball, who they own a number of Toyota dealerships across southern West Virginia. Larry Pack, the Larry Pack Family Foundation, who is currently West Virginia's treasurer. And the Wing to Wing Foundation, which is primarily Brad Smith, who is the president of Marshall University, have basically personally bankrolled to ensure that every West Virginia school received $1,500 that could be devoted specifically to, for immediate student need. I think it's an amazing endeavor that they've really tried to, Mr. Ball started with this with a number of number of schools across southern West Virginia, but in collaboration with the Pack family and with the Smith family, they were able to expand this to hit every West Virginia school. Is incredible. Certainly, we appreciate the funding source. We got a photo opportunity with 2 of the 3 benefactors. Mr. Smith was not able to attend, but I thought it was powerful, in the fact that part of this process is there's very specific reporting standards that however this money is spent. Mr. Ball in particular wanted to know specifically how it was spent and to what student benefit. And they really went as far as to share some of those experiences of how this money has positively impacted students in schools across West Virginia. So I really enjoyed getting the opportunity to attend. I know Mrs. Ofchek was able to attend as well, and several members of her team, but I just think a great thing. There was a YouTube clip, like a promotion for the program, and a media release from the Department of Ed that I made available via the link that was provided there as well. In addition, obviously earlier today, we recognized the Preston High School cross-country team. Of course, the girls team finishing 5th in the state. The boys also qualifying 3 runners. We wanted to call attention to some of the great accomplishments, and we'll probably try to catch these kids, the volleyball champions. Central Preston captured the JV and varsity volleyball this year. I'd like to hopefully be able to recognize them at the board meeting at Kingwood Elementary in mid-December. Let me see if I can flip over here. We also wanted to commend Terre Haute East Preston School. I think several members of their student body were packing food boxes related to some of the potential concerns for food shortages with the interruption of SNAP benefits. These students were in response to that. I thought it was a great thing as well. Also noted, I was down at Brewston. They had an awesome pumpkin decorating competition amongst the staff, and took some photos of that, and the staff, I think, took great pride in that as well. Within the update, there was also an update on the PEIA Finance Board hearing schedule. For our employees, the November 17th is the closest. It will be at Morgantown at the Mountain Air Gold Ballroom. We certainly would encourage employees. We anticipate, unfortunately, that there'll be continued cuts to PEIA and continued rate increases. And quite frankly, based upon our employee situation, that would be extremely detrimental to our employees. And we would certainly be against any continued raise in PEIA rates, which we've also tried to voice to our local representation in the House and the Senate here in West Virginia. Also wanted to call attention, we had several students that went down to the Kingwood Healthcare Center to spend time with the local residents. Certainly we appreciate our students going out and providing volunteer time to the betterment of the community. Board members did want, there was an invitation to the K-5 County Literacy Family Night. That event will actually take place this Thursday at Preston High School from 5 to 7. I am committed to, I believe I am reading. I don't know what book I'm reading yet, but I am locked in to read for the event. Board members, if you're interested in doing that as well, you could probably reach out to Mrs. Rush, and I'm sure she could just book you right in there. But certainly excited about that event, and the county literacy team has taken a lot of initiative to try to pull that off this year as well. In terms of looking at the weekly schedule, I'm just trying to look ahead here. We have a big event at Preston High School this week, the Big Ten Conference Cheer Competition, which will bring all of the conference teams to Preston High School, will be taking place on Wednesday. Mrs. Miller and a contingent of myself and others will be attending the Strive Conference in Morgantown on November 20th. Now, in terms of our next scheduled board meeting, will be taking place at South Preston School. I've got a faculty senate meeting set for early in December as well. And of course, we have our meeting at Kingwood Elementary in Central Preston on December 15th. Our final day of instruction prior to the holiday break will be December 23rd. We are really hopeful, knock on wood, that we do not get any snow days prior to the Christmas break, which would allow the first semester to end on December 23rd, which was part of the design of that calendar. Of course, we recognized two young men, Slayton Manco and Aiden Schmidl, earlier today in terms of their accomplishments in establishing some new state records as it relates to high school football. Mr. Varner also spoke briefly to the visit from the Farm to School Conference and had some photos there as well to share. And again, there was probably a contingent of anywhere from, I'd say 20 to 25 were here. And of course, they were able to come in there and have the sausage from the slaughterhouse as well. I did put on, and we'll try to reiterate to staff, Mr. Kisner had sent along, WVU was doing a survey on student headphone usage in the classroom. The study being completed by the WVU School of Audiology. Put that in the update. We'll certainly try to send out and encourage participation of our staff as well. Also wanted to call attention to, again, a lot of involvement in our staff and students in terms of the, I can't ever think, Bean Stack reading challenge with some of our staff members. You can see Kathy Klein from Aurora, Wendy Dillon from Brewston, Carmen Hammonds from South, and Vonda McCabe as strong participants in terms of staff levels. And the Aurora School, again, jumps out on top in the Bean Stack Challenge. Last year, South Preston was very strong. South is still doing a great job, but Aurora has captured the first 2 months' challenges. So we're seeing really strong participation from the Aurora School with that program. Certainly appreciate all their efforts. We also had a brief story in regards to a recent guest speaker visit in Tina Cool's forensics class. And we had an accomplished young author at the Brewston School, Briella Bowser, who actually got some of her poetry published. So really some great things going on. Now, in terms of the board-specific report, again, work continues over at Kingwood Elementary. Contractor is hoping to turn the front entryway and main office sometime late this month or possibly in early December. And board members, if you get a chance to stop over to school today, it really has come quite a ways. They also have gotten several of the exterior doors replaced. And they're working their way around on the playground side, and then we'll be wrapping around the facility. But there's really a lot of work. They're moving. I'm really pleased with how the project's going, and really, I think aesthetically it looks really good. We've had discussions though in terms of it kind of stands out. We've done all this work at the entryway, and then we have the tile work is not necessarily fully. It's not consistent with what's been replaced up front. Some of the paint schematics, some of the ceiling tile. I've already had some discussions with Mr. Murray as to the possibility of maybe continuing that tile work down the hall, looking at the paint to match up with the gray across the bottom and replacing the ceiling tile. While there would be some cost at that, I think aesthetically it would make a big difference to have continuity of that, as you come into the main building there. And I don't think it would be an exorbitant cost to carry that out. Exterior and interior duct cleaning work at PHS was completed by New Way Cleaning and Restorations. That actually took 2 days. To my knowledge, the duct work in the gym has not been cleaned since the inception of the school in the early 90s. Certainly was work that needed done. I would also say there was remediation work, actually remediation work by our county staff in the art room, which that classroom is now reoccupied. We have some science classrooms that will need similar work. That we'll get those classrooms reassessed upon completion of that work. I know Mr. Murray said one of the 3 classrooms has already been addressed in terms of the science classrooms. We also have vendor H.M. Huffman is scheduled to complete repairs to the PHS auxiliary gym. They are tentatively scheduled for Monday of next week. When you go in that gym, there are several sections of floor where there's literally cut out sections of floor where there's existing damage. Again, that floor, to my knowledge, has never been sanded, never been refinished. So, we do plan, but we had to hold off that work with the cheer competition. We did not want that. They actually needed access to that gym. But I know that crew is scheduled to come up following completion of a project in Hampshire County. So we're hopeful that's going to be nice to get that done. And if you've been in the gym, they've also replaced all of the light ballasts in the PHS gym. The LEDs have now been installed as well. So between the ductwork being cleaned, and the LED lighting, it's definitely a substantial visual change in that space. All required data submissions were completed with the prescribed timelines provided by the Department of Ed as it relates to enrollment. I think Mrs. Ofchek provided I pulled it from somewhere, but we do have like the unofficial enrollment numbers. It does appear we will have lost enrollment. Angie, you pulled that. I didn't put the official ones up because I don't know that we have gotten that where the state hasn't said definitively it's been accepted yet. So I'll probably hold off. And I've generally done a comparative document, and I thank you for getting sticking that in there, Mrs. Varner. I saw it on the copier and tried to bring it out here. But it does appear that our enrollment is down. Although since the October enrollment, we've picked up, I think, like 8 students or something like that. So we've picked up a few. Although those students, from a funding standpoint, will likely belong to another West Virginia district. It's just the way that works. Oh, they pre-K? Okay. Good news, we had 18 winners of the York Community Foundation Grant Scholarship Program. I encourage our teachers every year. I think our applications have generally been looked very favorably upon that organization. We greatly, greatly appreciate York Community Foundation and the financial support that they provided to Preston County Schools for a number of years. Grant totals are actually almost $15,000 this year, so again, just great turnout. We've had many grants are generally up to $750, although Kingwood Elementary teacher Misty Davis actually will be receiving a grant of $2,800, which the specifics of that are referenced here. You can see there's a breakdown of our winners, but we had 8 winning grant submissions from the Brewston School, 4 from Kingwood Elementary, 3 from South Preston, 3 from Terre East Preston, and 1 from West Preston, including Mrs. Noster's daughter submitted a successful grant from West. So we're very pleased, appreciate the support, and certainly appreciative of our teachers taking the initiative to write grants to improve their classrooms. I've also attached, board members, within your packets, you should have received the corrective action plan that was required based upon our success indicators, the transportation department, that was specific to our mechanic and our employee. I can't even think what it's called exactly, but these are things that, for example, we rated slightly below average as it relates to one of the metrics. Honestly, I don't remember which at this point, but we were required to submit a plan to address some of those concerns. The plan was given, we were given a deadline of November 7th, which it was submitted last week on Friday morning. I did receive notification from Director Lacey that it was received and indicated, I think he said it looked good to him based on the response I got back. I haven't gotten a lot of specifics back yet. We did ask for some feedback from the Department of Ed, and we didn't receive a lot of feedback at this point. But obviously if they would like us to make adjustments, we've asked them to just give us whatever feedback that they feel necessary. Board members, I also asked Mr. Hogue to get the the non-traditional instruction day or brain freeze day. Protocols released to students, parents, and staff. I know that was put out by Thrillshare last week. The specifics are included in your packets as well. They're also posted on our website and social media. Again, the district literacy night is scheduled for Thursday. Mrs. Varner, anything you want to add at this time? I did want to say also, board members, I included a brief story on the School Building Authority hearing proposal needs grants. Of course, I know all of you had other commitments last week, but I traveled to Charleston last Tuesday to make a presentation to the School Building Authority as it relates to, we are asking for HVAC renovations at South Preston School. I've provided the actually slide deck that was used for that presentation. I thought the presentation, I mean, I was the only one there, so I guess I'll say it went great. I thought it went well. I would say this too. I arrived an hour early because I wanted to be prompt, and they actually worked me in immediately, which I'm sure they loved that because I was scheduled to be the last formal presentation. So I told them at the end, I said, when you all walk out of here an hour early, just think Preston County Schools. But no, and I think that our representative to School Building Authority, Ms. Van Gilder, has given us a lot of good advice in development of the plan. Certainly the proposal that we worked in consult with Williamson Shriver Architects, we're very hopeful because, here was the point I tried to make in the presentation is, we realize South Preston is a relatively new school. It was constructed in about 2014, but we are running an exorbitant amount of cost as it relates to utility costs there because it is electric resistance heat. What we found is the project that we're proposing would generate substantial yearly savings that would, our architect, estimated we would pay for the project within 8 years. To me, and then we are paying more in utility cost at South Preston than we are at Preston High School. Despite South Preston has about 80,000 square feet and Preston High School has about 210,000 square feet. To me, that's, I don't know, we'll see what happens with this, but to me, that's compelling in the fact that we're trying to be proactive and say, listen, I wasn't in a position to make that decision, nor were our board members when the electric resistance heat system was put in. We're trying to address a concern that is, Mr. Kisner, just the discussion we had earlier, we're trying to find ways to reduce costs. We've proposed one. We brought forth about a 25% investment to the project, but we would be getting about 3 for 1 on the dollars there. We're asking for somewhere in the range of $750,000. We're offering putting up $200 and some thousand in exchange for that. In a project that will ultimately save us money. I do think I'm hopeful, but we'll just have to see. We will ultimately get a decision made by December 15th. So very hopeful on that. Cross your fingers and hope things go well. But certainly appreciate the School Building Authority and the hearing our proposal out. I think it's quoted in here. There was, I forget how many projects total. I don't know if I stated that or not, but there was 40-some projects I know that were pitched to the SBA. So they had I'll just read this. They had $170 million in grant requests. They have 43.5 to give out. So it's difficult to get funding for this. You have to put your best foot forward and certainly show not only need, but I think also we've gone a step further saying that this is ultimately going to be something that's going to be cost efficient to us long term. So very hopeful that goes well. Let me see if there was anything else. I'm sorry. Oh, and in addition, I did include for the board's review, we have not been able to obtain a full-time coach at the Aurora school. We were getting very close to the deadline in terms of trying to find some place to establish for the students to play. We did not have, Terre would made the most sense in terms of geographic location. We did not have the coach in place at Terre until literally after the application has been submitted. South Preston has a start time that practice time that would work. The coach and administration was open to that. I have had some people reach out to me from Aurora to ask for the meeting to make an inquiry with the SSAC is would they consider Aurora to be able to play at an either or. I don't know what the answer will be there, but to be able to play at either South Preston or Terre because, for example, some of those students at Aurora in the Rollsburg area, South Preston's actually a pretty good drive for them. So I think I can demonstrate that due to Aurora's isolated nature, maybe they would consider that, but I didn't propose that initially because we just didn't have someone in place at Terrell at the time. But that has been initially approved for their, I mean, they could try out tonight at South Preston. That's been approved by the SSCC. We will certainly make an inquiry about the Terrell situation as well. I know that the compliance officer, when I was trying when Mrs. Noss and I were trying to reach out this morning, he is out of the office today, but I will make an inquiry today as to any possibilities at Terrell as well for those student athletes. And that's boys only. We do have a girls team at Aurora. The boys we are looking at playing elsewhere. And again, that proposal is in your packets, board members. Ms. Varner, anything else? What's that? Oh, yeah, that's right. I also included the advertisements for our snow plowing and salting. That will be advertised this week, I think twice in the newspaper this week. I know that we kind of have the same option we have with mowing is, I believe we did have the parking lot salted today due to the snow that we had today. That work would have been off of our previous established contract. However, I should have selected vendors for the board's review at the December 1st meeting. Okay. Our next meeting is at South Preston, December 1st. We do have a student hearing at 5. I think that's it, Mr. Tatum. I think that's all I got.
That was quite a lot there, Mr. Martin.
Yeah.
We appreciate all the
Let's
effort.
load up on the daytime meetings. We've got a little more time.
Okay, any questions from board members for Mr. Martin?
The improvement plan for our service, transportation service.
Yes, sir.
So within the past couple months, we had to have an internal review done of that.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the items in this improvement plan seem to indicate that, or the way that I'm reading them is as if some of the stuff that came up in our internal review was not in compliance. I guess, can we add to a future meeting agenda to get a review comparing our internal, because if I recall correctly, that internal review was requested by several of our bus drivers, and we did not find any indication. But some of from what I recall, I have not went back and looked at that meeting's notes, but some of the items in this appear to be in line with that. So I think it would probably be something we should look at.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is in terms of trying to head off those identifiable measures that can be intercepted by, I mean, I can tell you this, the number one thing that from a driver standpoint that you're going to get written up in when you bring it for inspection is the cleanliness of the bus. So I know that a specific training will be is things that our drivers can do to limit negative evaluations as it pertains to things that they are kind of responsible for intercepting, because I think our mechanic rate, we were very, very close to meeting the threshold, but the driver rate, there was a substantial gap. So I think that's where I think Mr. Plum's focus was a little more centered on trying to head off things with the drivers that we can address before the evaluator process when they're checking buses.
I guess, do we have the full report now? Because I think at the time we had a temporary one that was not, in the meeting back in October, I think that the one that we had, you were saying, hey, the points don't line up with what you're assigning, so this doesn't make sense.
I can give you what I got back, but I didn't get a report. I can give you a copy of the response I received from Director Lacey, but it was a brief email response.
Yeah, I mean, I think like number 2 on there is close monitoring of the service schedule, which I thought was one of the direct things that led to our previous review internally.
Well, but I'd say, Mr. Kisner, is to be sure that we're reviewing buses on the proper interval. I mean, that's part of this process, to be sure we're compliant at the state level as well. So that's just more so a continuation of something that was implemented last year.
Yeah, I mean, I know that our transportation service department had just got accolades 2 years ago. So, I mean, we know that we've got something, or there were things good there. I remember them being recognized for going above and beyond at that point in time. I would like to compare this with our internal one and look at them side by side with that.
I don't want to be critical, but I mean, honestly, the response we got from the Department of Ed is if any district that was below the average, and the inspector probably averages anywhere from, I'd say, 18 to 20 districts, okay? if you were below the average on this mechanic rate or the employee rate, if you're below the average, you got 0 points out of, and these were like out of 25 or 30 points.
Yeah.
There was no partial credit, which I don't understand that from an I mean, if we had a teacher grading in that manner, we'd have people complaining. I mean,
Yeah.
that's, and I mean, it is what it is. If that's how it was explained to us and that's what we have to abide by, then we will. But I do question in terms of how that is systematically set up. It's kind of setting up districts. I mean, there's always got to be somebody below the average. So, you know, it's kind of setting up a lot of districts to be potentially in an improvement state perpetually. And I mean, we've had struggles in the fact that, of course, you saw on the service agenda, we've had, you know, we are down one additional mechanic. And a lot of this will be dependent on how quickly we can get a mechanic back in place. And that puts us at a disadvantage in terms of trying to, you know, keep up with the required schedule as well.
Okay. If you'll send me that report, and then
Sure.
you can talk about.
You just
what
want the
we
response that we got back from the Director Lacey.
Well, the response, and if they gave us I mean, again, and I could be
I didn't get a
wrong,
report.
And I apologize, because I did miss the last meeting, but I thought that in October, we had a report that did not make sense. The point total did not reconcile with the points per item.
They simply said that they did that the evaluative system has been redone, but it's not published at this time in that way. I mean, I pulled that directly from Department of Ed websites. But that it had been something that had been explained at the summer transportation conference. So, you know, that is what it is. One recommendation I would be is to make sure that what their posted rubrics are to align with. I mean, we know what it is now, so we know what we have to work on, and that's what we're going to do. And if that's the system that we have to work within, then we certainly will.
Yeah.
But I'll send any response that I've gotten. But other than what I've sent you, I do not have a formal report.
Okay. All right. And then in that same meeting, we had also, again, KES, which had recently, you know, we got the model schools, the state model school accolade and all that was in that October meeting. I think there was issues in their special ed practices.
Yes.
And just since we have Ms. Miller here, I don't know. I saw that there was a letter on the previous agenda, and again, I missed that meeting, but.
What I would say is Kingwood's, their distinction, that's not the right word, but their identification on, you know, for improvement in that matter relates to that they did not hit any of the academic achievement metrics as it relates to the special ed population, nor did they reach the attendance metrics. Now, if you get one or the other fixed, you can get off that list. What I have encouraged in looking at Mrs. Peasley's goals for the year, I personally, and Mrs. Ofchek spoke to this earlier, I've encouraged them to attack that from a attendance standpoint, because to me, if you improve the attendance, you're going to naturally see some level of improvement as it relates to academic metrics. But to me, the attendance was probably the easier one to attack. And until you address the attendance, the academic's not going to come anyway. So if we can make the requisite improvements as it relates to attendance for the defined special ed population at Kingwood, we could move off of that list, which we've been able to do that. For example, West Preston was on that list, I think, in previous years for the same distinction. Brewston had been on that list at one time as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Martin? Not hearing any? Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Welcome.
Okay. Next, we have out-of-state field trips. This is an information and action item. It's recommended that the board approve the submitted out-of-state field trip for Preston High School Theater Department to New York City to attend a Broadway production on April 22nd, 2026, and for the Aurora School to travel to the National Aquarium in Baltimore, Maryland, for the Summer Reading Program Award Trip on November 14th, 2025. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kisner.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hovatter. Okay, I will point out in the public content, it explains how the items are being funded. Is there any request for additional information or discussion? Not hearing any? Okay. The motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for out-of-state field trips.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the chaperone and volunteer list. This is a information, discussion, and action item. It's recommended that the board approve the chaperone and/or volunteer lists for Aurora School, Brewston School, Kingwood Elementary, and South Preston School. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Who was it? Mr. Hovatter made the
tight.
motion. Who's the second?
Mrs. Noss seconds.
Ms. Noss, second. Okay, is there any additional information or discussion?
So my question to the board would be, we have implemented this new process with the steps and whatnot to ensure that our volunteers and chaperones are properly vetted. Does the board feel like we need to see all of the support work for that? Now, I have no problem with seeing it, but I feel like Mr. Martin and his staff is having to scan more to us than we necessarily need to see. Now, again,
There's one that I was really late working
if
on.
other people on the board feel like they want to see that, I'm comfortable with that, but I was going to offer that I'm okay with still seeing just the list of people to approve.
That's great.
Unless the other board members feel like they like that. And again, I'm not here to step on feet, I just was trying to help make things better.
No, my comment would be, I agree with you, Mr. Kisner. I feel like I rephrase that. I feel comfortable that there's a process in place behind it. They've proven that for the past several meetings, that they have a process in place. I don't need to see all that additional backup.
I think I heard Mrs. Sheets across the hall celebrating. Because Autumn had spent a lot of time on this as well, but board members, I will assure you, we are still going through the same process. We're not going to put it on the agenda until we have the completed background check without issue, that we have checked either for a sign-in sheet from the school that relates that they've done the training, or we can actually print it off from the Vector Solutions site. I mean, those are the two big things that have to be accomplished with that. Then, of course, the principal signing off if they vetted it by submitting the contract. But if that's what you all are okay with receiving, that would be, I'm sure, gladly received.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable
I'm
just
okay
seeing the original list, the list like we did, just knowing that the process is there, I think should give comfort to our parents and.
I mean, I think we will still plan to maintain like a file with all of it here, but the only thing we do, we shred the copies of the driver's license because we have no need for those after they've been submitted once.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kisner. Is there any additional questions or discussion regarding this item? Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for approving the chaperone and volunteer list.
Voting is open. It popped in. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have professional meetings, however, none are requested. So next, we have an MOU between University of Phoenix and Preston County Schools. This is a discussion, information, and action item. It's recommended that the board approve the MOU between Preston County Schools and the University of Phoenix to provide education experiences for university students. May I get that motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hovatter,
Second.
second by Mrs. Noss. Is there any additional information or discussion?
Mrs. Varner, I don't know if you'd want to add any detail there.
This is just to allow a student to come in and do observation hours. This is not for a student teaching placement or anything at this time. This is just for observation hours.
Thank you. Okay, is there any questions or discussion? Not hearing any, the motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for the MOU with Phoenix, University of Phoenix.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have an affiliation agreement between WVU Board of Governors and Preston County Schools. This is an information, discussion, and action item. It's recommended that the board approve the affiliation agreement between WVU Board of Governors and Preston County Schools to obtain clinical education for field work for WVU students. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Noss,
Second.
second by Mr. Hovatter. Is that right? Okay. Is there any additional information or discussion?
Again, Ms. Varner, this isn't necessarily student teaching per se, this
Well-
is several, I mean,
This is for our communication students, for our SLPs. So if we have student teachers through WVU who are working on their SLP license, to be able to be placed in our schools and work with
could you
our
allude to SLP for the board's benefit?
speech-language pathologist. If they need to be placed with our SLPs to work and be able to be trained, this will allow them to come into our schools.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Varner.
Is there any discussion? Okay, not hearing any. The motion was made and seconded. I call the vote for the agreement with WVU.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Tatham, I didn't get that input. That was,
The motion was made by Mrs. Noss and seconded by Mr. Hovatter.
sorry about that. Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have an MOU between Preston County Schools and MP Care and Preston Taylor Community Health. This is an information, discussion, and action item. It's recommended that the board approve the MOU between Preston County Schools, Preston High School, and MP Care, and between Preston County Schools, Preston High School, and Preston Taylor Community Health. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hovatter,
Second.
second by Mrs. Noss. Is there any additional information or discussion?
This will just let our nursing students be able to go out and work within these facilities.
Yeah,
to
we've had
get their
several of these
hours.
already come through for other locations. One thing I will say, Mr. Tatham, when we had discussions, though, in theory, like with this school-based healthcare, I mean, our kids could actually accrue hours even there, if this is something that you know, unfolds in the future.
Great. Okay. Not hearing any further discussion. The motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for the MOU with MP Care and Preston Taylor Community Health.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have iReady plans. This is discussion and action item. It's recommended that the board approve the submitted school iReady plan for West Preston School. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kisner,
Second.
second by Mr. Hovatter. Is there any discussion? Not hearing any? The motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for the iReady plan for West Preston School.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have ongoing literacy discussion. Mr. Martin?
Just real briefly, board members, I think we've already discussed the K-5 County Literacy Night, which takes place this Thursday from 5 to 7. Mrs. Rush also indicated the Dyslexia Task Force met for a work session recently, and there was there's now a trained individual at all district schools. The group is also working on a training session that all teachers will receive by the end of January 2026. Finally, the group is developing a specific dyslexia risk support plan to ensure these students will get the specific accommodations they need. And that's all I have at this time.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Not hearing any. Next, we have ongoing numeracy and Tier 2 math supports. This is an information discussion item. Mr. Martin?
Just wanted to update. I sat in on the principal. Mrs. Rush runs generally on Fridays a principal PLC, an online principal PLC group. And I know she was working in conjunction with school principals to coordinate trainings for Do the Math, which is one of our, I believe, our Tier 2 intervention tool. She was setting up for individuals who need training at each school site. And again, that was just discussion as per that meeting. Just wanted to pass that along.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, not hearing any. Next, under our finance portion, we have contract review as per policy 8200. No items are submitted. For our student board members, this would be any contracts over $100,000. Next, we have a levy check report that is available for the public. Is there any discussion? Not hearing any. Thank you for the report. Next, we have a schedule of checks to be written and payment of bills. This is an action item. It's recommended that the board approve the schedule of checks, payment of bills for this period. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kisner.
Second.
Okay, 1 second. Motion was made by Mr. Kisner, and I heard Mr. Hovatter second it first. Is there any additional information or discussion? No questions? Not hearing any. The motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for schedule of payment of bills and the schedule of checks.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have school support organizations update. This is an information, discussion, and action item. It's recommended that the board approve the Friends of Wildcats, Kingwood Elementary PTA, Friends of Valley District Education, and Brewston Academic Boosters as school support organizations for the 2025-26 academic year. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hovatter,
Second.
second by Mrs. Noss. Is there any additional information or discussion?
Mr. Tatham, I have partial packets from several, I know Mrs. Kerstetter, there was an issue with trying to verify the submitted tax number on a few of the groups. One group has indicated their intent not to pursue school support status this year, which I will now have to work with that group to make sure that they have liquidated all funds that would have been related to any fundraising initiatives related to the school. But outside of that, I anticipate we'll certainly have some additional approvals on the next meeting. Obviously, with the intent trying to get this wrapped up as soon as possible in terms of any organizations and get these approved in a timely manner.
Thank you. Is there any discussion regarding school support organizations? Okay, the motion has been made to approve these 4 organizations and seconded. I call the vote.
Voting is open. And I think at this time, this will be 6 organizations that have been approved currently.
Thank you.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the 2019 excess levy fund remaining balance. That information is available for the public. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Martin, has there been discussion about the use of some of these? I mean, for instance, I know that under supplies that we have some that I had mentioned could Brewston use in lieu where they're not having other funds for copiers and things of that nature.
I mean, certainly can try to have a breakout in terms of budgeted totals for the schools as it relates to these funds, but I don't have anything prepared directly today now.
Okay. So there's 8,900 left total for supplies?
Yes, for instance, under supplies. And again, I don't know the background, like on what programs consists of, because it's a much larger pot, but I don't know what they can each be utilized. I have not looked into that. I just know that this was one thought that I had on Brewston trying to figure out their current financial situation, where they're, I think it's Title I or Title VII, one of them that they don't get allocations
Step
for.
7.
Step 7 that everybody else is getting. And again, I don't know that we can. I just don't know that I know that we have some sitting in these.
Okay. I'll certainly try to get something by the next meeting in terms of how we may use all that. Like I said, we're down to pretty limited there.
I mean, I think once Kingwood Elementary, right, the school, the entrance door, that's a big chunk.
Oh, like, for example, your construction, yeah, like the Kingwood Elementary, there'll be quite a bit that's, and some of that may already be encumbered, but for example, if this south project is approved, that'll be, $250,000 that would be
Coming out of
allocated.
this.
Yes.
Right.
I feel like we should try to get this tidied up and done.
Well, and I tell you, as we submit to the SBA, though, I mean, that's where we can generate any level of match. I mean, that's where we'll be defined from. But I know that in Mr. Murray's January presentation, he'll be asked to have some priority projects for us.
All right, thank you. Not hearing any additional discussion. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have fundraisers submitted as of November 13th, 2025. This is an information item and available to the public. Is there any questions or discussion?
Mrs. Kerstetter indicated she'll try to get this out at least quarterly, just for the board's review. But it's a nice running tally of what's out there. She does a nice job.
Yeah,
I think it's a good
lot of
report.
work going on.
Yes.
Okay, next we have budget journal entry number 120. This is an action item. It's recommended that the board approve budget journal entry 120, which is for the high school equivalency. May I get that motion?
Grant.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Noss, seconded by Mr. Kisner. So this is recognizing a grant.
This was grant for the adult, or like the testing for the adult ed, I believe. It was the grant money that came in from the state. And I know that we had some pending balances to pay off Mrs. Light, who's been doing our testing services, which it'll cover that bill, and I think there'll be some additional services to continue to cover, like with Mr. Bailey's, any testing that he'll do.
Any discussion regarding the budget journal entry? Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote to approve the journal entry.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the maintenance work order system update. This is an information item. Mr. Martin?
Yeah, Mr. Tatum, I did want to update. I know board members, you received an email in regards to an area there near the ROTC building. It was rather not well lit. I drove through there this morning. It's basically all of the exterior lights. There were two burned out near, I think outside of Mr. Lott's room, and then one additional one. The one on the ROTC building has been replaced, and then they have a pole there that also has an LED, so like it's very well lit at this point.
No.
But at that point in time, I think I brought out some portable lighting. I mean, the staff member sent that probably 2 o'clock on a Friday ahead of the football games. I didn't have a ton of options. I brought some portable lights. But I think Mr. Holleran like advised that employee there was just a switch that needed turned on inside of Mr. Lott's shop, and then that one, the pole with the LED was, that was already available. So, but I think they've already done some work out there to address those measures. And of course, I mentioned some of the ongoing work we've got going on at PHS as well that we anticipate over the next few weeks.
And I'd like to say to the employee that made the referral that we, as a board, I know I appreciate that we have a lot of facilities, a lot of square footage, a lot of light bulbs, et cetera, that if you see something that needs to be corrected, please bring it to our attention as in the superintendent, and I
we're able to get
appreciate
it
your
fixed.
quick, prompt response. Okay, is there anything additional regarding the maintenance order? Okay, thank you. Next, we have a status update on the Fellowsville School property.
And I don't have a significant status update. I reached out to our counsel, Ms. Cook, and I called her on Friday and was not able to speak with her. I think it is highly unlikely that we'll have the property liquidated prior to the winter. I mean, we're getting very close to winter. I would say, too, that we have had an inquiry from the Fellowsville Youth League for the potential for using the facility specific for weekend ball games. I know I'm trying to work with Mr. Murray on addressing a few things in terms of being able to secure so that if the group were to be granted access, that they would have limited access where they wouldn't need to be all over the building. We would have to run, like I said, we would have to have someone come in to fire up the heat on the weekends. But we're having to rotate staff to check on the building down there regardless. So I think this is something we can potentially entertain. A few things have been told to the group, though, is we would not be entertaining any weekday use as they have in the past. And that we've eliminated trash service out there, so the group would be responsible for removal of garbage from the property as well. I mean, those were two things that just, again, not to have the carrying costs of the building, trying to lower those as much as possible.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions or discussion?
If I get anything in the interim from Mrs. Cook, though, I may send that to you all just to have the knowledge of it. But I'll keep this as a running agenda item so we can continue to update.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item is adjournment. Before we do, is there any items that are requested to be placed on the next meeting agenda?
I'd just ask, Mr. Martin at the last board meeting gave me an update on the bus safety situation as far, I think the public should know.
that, we're very proactive in that. and
I'll get that on the agenda, or I'll certainly share that in the superintendent's update. And maybe we can even get something publicized on social media. We get a lot of circulation right now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other items? Mr. Kisner? Okay. So it's recommended that the board adjourn today's meeting. Can I get that motion?
I make that motion.
All right, Mr. Hobatter's made that motion. Can I get a second? Second by Mrs. Noss. Is there any discussion? Okay, before we take the vote, I would like to thank our new student board members. We appreciate you serving. It is a service. If any time that you need to go to a school function or a class function, of course, your education is most important. Feel free to excuse yourself. We understand that.
Better bring snacks next time, too.
This is all work here.
That was the first question Bailey asked me. What about lunch?
Okay, I call the vote to adjourn.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0 at 1:33 PM. Okay, thank you.